Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Mabel has room. Shot. Just wide. Dropper out of the ties the game at 2. And here's Victor Arvidsson. Zaka Joyce. Arvidsson scores.
San Antonio on the defensive end. Cleats haven't scored. The Spurs have scored 5. And your turnover here. Holiday lost it. Vassell's got it. Optia challenge. Fox foul and 1. And a Portland timeout. Not eligible. Look at home run, Nico Horner. And it's 4-1.
Numero uno. Here's a bouncing ball through the hole from Grego. They're going to send the runner, and Nebraska will indeed strike first. A 2-out RBI swing from Drew Grego. Bill Jeske tried to extend the Husker rally, give Nebraska another lead, and he will. A 2-out base knock plates another Nebraska run. Carey can come on down. It is now 4-3 Nebraska.
This ball hit deep to left center field, and it is out of here. A solo home run off the bat of Alexis Jensen. That'll help her cause. Lifted in the air, straight away center field. That ball is gone. No doubt about it off the bat of Jessie Farrell, and she has given Nebraska a jolt.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mail Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. What's up, DB?
How are we doing?
Oh, we're doing good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
I'm a little upset you were laughing at me already, but
What? Listen, man. That was. Do you want me to bring it to the show? Because
you can.
so we're getting in the elevator,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Because I'm running a little late today. The dogs were not being cooperative, so I'm running a little late. And we get in the elevator at the same time, and DB's talking about, I was driving next to Rico about 20 miles an hour in the parking lot.
I said I was driving 20 mile an hour in the parking lot to show Rico how slow that was.
Yep. And I said, well, DB, it's all relative, and you go, well, it's all I could do not to get out of the car and run next to it and hop back in just to show you. Meanwhile, I'm not here, by the way. So to show me, I don't know.
I just was thinking about it.
I'm like, that's a really
I
bad
just was
idea.
sharing out loud.
I was like, that's a really bad idea. It's dangerous. I don't want DB to hurt himself. He's my friend. I don't want him to hurt himself. So, and he's like, well, I think the only reason I didn't do it is because as soon as I get out of the car, it's not going 20 miles an hour anymore. So it defeats the purpose. I go, that's the only reason? The only reason we didn't get out of a running, moving vehicle to run next to it and try and get back in. And he goes, well, the alignment's good. It'll be straight. And I was like, that's not what I'm worried about.
That's what I always do, and they never catch me. Ain't nobody gonna catch me.
I'd have caught the car.
Let's say
I can just imagine that first foot getting out of the car and just and then all of a sudden we're just like, oh, Damon's under his own car.
He makes it
that's what I was
so
worried about.
I didn't even think about that.
This is my concern. This is
You're going 0 to 20, like getting out of the car. Like that would be tough.
That's a very different thing than trying to keep up with a car going 20 for 2 driveways, which, again, I think perception-wise is plausible. Getting out of a moving car without you moving at all and then running 20 miles an hour, that seems sketchy.
Yeah, I didn't think about that part. and until you just said it, it still didn't cross my mind.
This is why I was like, that's the only reason you didn't want to do it? Because the car wouldn't be going fast enough?
Not to bring physics into this, but if Damon is traveling in a car going 20 miles an hour, Damon is going 20 miles an hour.
He is, but his feet are not.
Well, Damon's feet are attached to Damon, are they not?
Right, but his feet are not propelling him to that 20 miles an hour. So as soon as they have to take over the load of the 20 miles an hour, he's in a lot of trouble.
What if I could just toe drag to gauge it?
What kind of shoes? Yeah, those canvas shoes ain't gonna work. You'd be wearing like a steel-toed mug. You know what I mean?
Your toe's gonna be wherever you started the toe drag.
He said, "That's the thing you're worried about." I hate how he said that, but that's fine.
I mean, to be fair, you don't like how I say a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
quite
a
bit.
Damon, do you want to test this in the parking lot? Like,
I mean, I kind of do, but I kind of don't, because I don't really want to hurt myself.
I'll do it.
I'm not saying you should get out of the car, but you could run next to a car.
Yeah. So Rico, your back's to me because I was just killing time, but didn't it seem slow?
I mean, yeah, but that's
like
slow to a car.
I turned in the parking lot without even braking.
But a car looks slow going 20. A person looks very fast going 20.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, if I pick somebody random,
just depends on how long I have to do it
on the football team. I go, okay, does this person run 20 miles an hour? I'll be like, yeah, that person's pretty fast.
I'm glad you guys let LP off the hook, who thought he could beat a plane.
Well, I mean, again,
like we seriously contemplated it.
No, well, don't put me in we. That's a you we, not a me we.
There's a lot of running backs in that room that thought about it.
That's fine, and they're all wrong. You know how fast? I know it feels like you're moving slow because you're in a giant airplane. You know how fast those things are going at like takeoff?
I don't know. I mean, how fast are they going? Like he said to when he could beat a plane in the 40.
Your head snaps back when the plane goes to take off.
Yeah, at some point, but they roll into it.
But what point was he talking about? When it's taxiing to the runway, or when it's on the runway about to take off?
This thing at the point of takeoff, like if you just said
absolutely not,
set go.
No.
A plane taxis at approximately 35 miles an hour. So no.
That's 35 mile an hour?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. So no, he's not at any point keeping up with an airplane. Maybe here's the only thing.
Maybe
here's the only thing I'll give him.
Rico, can you just before he gives the analogy or the example, it looked really, really pedestrian, right?
It did.
Okay.
And my competitiveness along with yours, I was like, oh, I could definitely keep up with that. But then thinking, I'm like, you know what? I might be able to match it for like a second or two.
Only if you're already going full speed.
Like I have to get up to full speed.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct.
And then perception wise, it's
going past me.
It could appear you're keeping up for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it is passing you, so you're not going that speed, but you could appear about catching about even for a while.
Yeah, like all of those sprinters that
like I would myself in the back with the door. Like even if you were driving and you said, "Okay, hop out."
Yeah, I'm not gonna have you hop out. We could start at the same place, and I'll do this. I'm not having you hop out of a car. That's very dangerous.
So what if I was just like had like one deal on that thing? Yeah, it's still gonna hit me. The door. I couldn't get out of the way of the door.
Also, if your foot is on the ground, you're losing that leg.
Sounds so.
Or at least you're messing that thing up pretty bad.
Damon, just go in your closet and grab your Heelys.
Anyway, I came to the conclusion that I was not thinking about
some of the dangerous factors,
some things that could actually hurt me.
You have this. There's certain people in my life that have very low like self-preservation skills. Like they just don't think about things like, oh, that could be dangerous. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I'm starting to think you might be one of them.
Wow.
Where it's like, DB, why would you do that? That's a bad idea.
I just was curious more than anything. I'm not going to die on that hill.
Here's the thing I will say. Here's the thing I'll say about LP. If you're starting both from a dead stop, it may take the plane long enough to move all.
I think that was kind of his point.
That he could get 40 yards before the plane got 40 yards. That's might be plausible. I don't know how fast they get up to taxiing speed. It seems like it takes a second.
Yeah, I'm shocked that planes taxi at 35 mile an hour.
Well, that's like the slowest, I think. Like when they're, it's not when they're going to take off.
Doesn't seem very. Well, I understand what taxiing is.
Yeah, it's just like Big Yellow Taxi. You big Counting Crows guy?
No, no. And I had to break the news to Shane that Omaha actually wasn't a favorite. It sung in a favorable light.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was sung by a white guy with dreads. I'm not going to take him too seriously.
Well, what does that have to do with anything?
You know exactly what that has to do with it. It shows poor judgment.
Wow. Judgy McJudge.
Am I wrong, Rico? White guy with dreads, poor judgment.
So you didn't know Evan back then. So would you just have not talked? Would you just have been like, Evan,
cornrows and dreads are different.
Oh my God.
The fact you got an Indian telling a black man that is wild.
Dude, did you not see Cory Booker and Patel argue in Congress? It happens. What?
Not sure that's the Indian I want to be compared to, but
oh, he was very resolute in being wrong, like you were. You do.
Well, I'm not. I'm not sure when the last time I was wrong. It's hard to
Hey,
tell.
Ravi.
Yeah, what's up?
We'll see you in Valhalla.
Is that from the Vikings?
Apparently, it's from certain Indian people as well.
Oh,
just maybe that one. Maybe that one's going to Valhalla. It's not me. That's the noise I made when I was making the Carlos O'Kelly joke.
Yeah, what the? Fushnikins made more sense than that.
Yeah, but I wasn't pretending that what I was saying was English. That was the point of it. It was supposed to not sound like English. You can't sit here and tell me like, yeah, Fushnikins, proper English. Those are real words.
Man, how about those playoffs yesterday? A lot of upsets.
Oh, I wasn't even ready to talk about playoff shit. I was mad.
Are you still mad?
I was mad about other stuff.
Listen, I'm back to saying listen. I came to the conclusion yesterday. It even causes hand wringing, and so like the guys that I really care about their opinion, that I think like want the best, are open minded. I tried to give a heads up. I'd say, hey, you may want to hear this in its entirety.
Sure.
Before we do anything, we may want to hear this in its entirety. Some guys, it was like, oh, yeah, I get it. Other guys were like, big year, man. Still got to win. Yeah.
Duh.
I know. No, I'm not. These are guys.
I know. They're guys you like. But
so what I'm saying is, it's not a good piece of cheese. Even guys that I get along with, that I respect a heck of a lot. Like we don't always agree.
Sure. And you don't have to.
And some of it is healthy, but then there's just some, it's like you just don't, for whatever the reason, you just don't want this to work.
Yep.
And I don't know. The only thing that I wasn't mad yesterday, because everybody, it's flooding my timeline, right? And I get it. And these guys, I think sometimes, they chuckle because they're really good at what they do when these get clipped out. And every time I hear just a snippet, I'm like, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a long day. So, but it's like it always is. There's people that want to be right, and there's people that want to get it right. So if you want to get it right, even though it may be at your own expense or your own thought process, you probably took the information differently. If you want to be right and you have a preconceived notion, then you probably took the information differently.
Yeah, it was kind of stunning how differently people responded to it.
To the exact same information.
The same clips, and yes, the context matters, right? Like the way we do this is
and those weren't softballs.
No, I felt like we were asking real questions.
I felt like those were, and it was intentional, right? Because I want to know some things. I think you want to know some things.
The only thing that I held back were specific names. I asked everything I wanted to ask.
Which part?
When I'm talking about different type of players,
if he would
and
do the Dylan thing over,
doing things differently, like I didn't want to put him in a spot where he had to potentially disparage or sound like he was disparaging a kid, because I know how this works and how things on the internet work and clip outs and things like that. I didn't want to put him on a spot where he had a bad soundbite, because that isn't really fair, because I can ask the question and get the answer I want without putting him in that position. Yeah. So I don't want to do a gotcha moment just for the sake of, but if I get him to say Dylan Raiola and he wouldn't do it again.
You could tell though, like he was because
he thought about it.
Like Sip sent me so there were a couple guys I was pretty surprised just on their take. And I'm only going to use Sipple as one of the 35. And hopefully he won't be mad at me. I don't think.
Well, I think he's a little scared of you, so he won't be mad at you.
Why would be scared? He's constantly he pushes back. He plays the victim here, but he constantly he goes, Jesus, I'm watching this interview with Rhule. This is incredible. He's incredibly locked in. I said, yeah, I can't believe he just let us ask him anything, but we just went with it. He said, I believe this sort of interview is incredibly helpful to him in the program. Text you tomorrow. I'm only halfway through. I got to dig in.
Yeah. I think that's and I don't think Sip has been overly flowery about the program. Like, I think that's far from an accurate description. Not that but I also don't think Sip is a guy that's.
And you don't have to be.
No, I don't. I do want you to have an open mind, though.
Yeah. Like, it's my, I told you the other day, a guy that I rock with, Jay Urban, right, on Twitter, when I said, because it got clipped out without the context of what I was saying, I was talking about the two of the things that really upset me, just because I'm around him enough and I kind of know his heart.
Yeah, the work ethic
and the authenticity.
Yeah.
And Jay was like, God, are people really saying this? And I was like, you're my dude. You can't really.
Yeah. Go look at the response to the clip yesterday and you'll see people saying it.
Exactly. That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's all it was yesterday was, guys were like, oh, if you too busy with, traveling or too busy with the podcast or, oh God, this guy could sell me anything. Like that's all from the negatives comments.
From the negative side, that's all it was.
Yeah.
Yep. There was,
and I'm like, we can't act like I'm making this up.
No, it was a lot of salesmen. Yeah. It was a lot of, that was to the negative. The sort of, I call this neutral, I guess, or maybe the, well, yeah, duh, is the, well, just got to win. That's the, well, yeah, duh of it all.
So the guys that I probably, and it's interesting. Like, I don't really know the opinions of like somebody that I think is actually like thoughtful, like a Zadiska. Sure,
he's not like clickbaity. Like he's,
and he's a guy that I could have like a back and forth with, without somebody having to be right. Like we could just process through it.
And he'll want to process through.
So I didn't talk to like everybody that would think like that, but of the guys that I think that are like that, I think at the end of the conversations, it was a lot of winning will cure a lot. And I'm like, yeah. It would.
Yes, it will.
But then all of a sudden, like, is it more believable? Because I thought it was interesting yesterday listening to Bykoff talk about Signet. He said everything he says come true.
Yeah. When you win, you get that benefit of the doubt.
So you can say anything.
Yes, 100%.
Right. And I've also seen it go the other way, where guys that won a lot, that would say a lot, and there would be those of us that are like,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's how I felt about Dabo.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think that Dabo is the best example that I can think of.
So it's
where I just wasn't buying what he was selling, no matter how much he won.
So it was like it goes both ways. I still ultimately, unfortunately, it hurt like hell. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it boils down to two things: whether we want to be right or not, and if we like the person.
So that's the thing that bothered me yesterday more than anything, was because there were people that I know for a fact, and I'll name this one by name because he's been very public about it. Like Scott Shanley, for example, had a quote tweet of one of our things.
You guys have a different history than I do.
No, for sure. I
rock with Shanley.
That's totally fine. But Shanley, I mean, from literally,
and he cannot like Rhule, and
that's fine.
You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is, like,
this is just I'm sorry. I just want clarity before you rant.
Yeah, you're good.
I know you're going to go in on this because you had the interviews with him. This is just, is this a meet? Is this like what vantage point is this? So this is because I'm giving you a friend, so that doesn't.
The
I don't know how
only
credible
vantage
that is
point I have for Shanley is I interviewed him when, ironically enough, I was filling in for you when you left the old place. And that was during the time period of Nebraska looking for a new coach that ended up being Matt Rhule.
Fair. All right.
So, and at the time on that show, he was I believe, a weekly guest or a semi-regular guest at the very least. So I talked to him with our old friend Gary Sharp several times over the course of this process, including, I believe, right after he was hired.
It was either his camera work is sick.
It was either right before or right after he was hired. It was when it became pretty apparent that it looked like it was going to be Rhule. So that is my context. That is the only interactions besides seeing him on social media that I have with Scott Shanley. So I want to make that very clear. I don't know him as a person. It is just the interactions I had with him a few years ago and on social media. Okay. And the thing about him was he was out even as the idea of him as a candidate immediately.
Okay.
Which is fine. That's fine. But it always appeared to be weirdly personal for some reason. I know that they shared a division when Coach Rhule was, Shanley was doing work with the Saints. Coach Rhule was at the Panthers. So I'm sure there was some overlap of people that knew Coach Rhule. But he's the only person that I've ever heard say, I think he's a bad guy. Ever. So to me, that's a pretty dramatic outlier. You've heard some people say, I think he's a little salesman-y. I think he's maybe out there too much. The only person I've ever heard, and
I'm not saying this is new to me because I know his sentiment, but I didn't.
So I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if he said the words "he's a bad guy," but this was very much that's an accurate sentiment for what he was talking to us about.
Fair.
He is the only one I've ever heard talk about Coach Rhule that way. And so I asked, I go, okay, do you have an experience with him? Do you have what leads you to believe this? Because this is pretty. I asked this at the time because the stories about the Texas High School Coaches Association talked about how much they loved him and things like that. I was like, okay, this is very different from everything else we've heard about Matt Rhule. Can you expound a little bit? And at the time, he couldn't really or didn't want to. I'm not saying he couldn't. He didn't want to or didn't have examples at the ready. And for him to feel as strongly as he did about Coach Rhule in that sense, that seemed pretty strange to me. So I go everything, and again, we go into things with our filters. So everything I see from Shanley, I go through the filter of, well, he just doesn't like this guy. I feel very comfortable saying that based on the interactions I had with him, right? So that has to go into my filter of how I view anything Shanley says about Matt Rhule. He seems like one of the guys that just didn't want it to work from the start because he didn't like Coach Rhule before the hire was made. And so I wish we could just say that, not to give myself too much credit here, but I'm going to because that's what I do. When you talk to me about Dan Hurley, I'm very clear. I just don't like him. I've never said that he was a bad coach. I have no idea how he interacts with the players. I go, I don't like him.
Yeah.
Same thing with Dion. I don't like him. He might be a good coach. He might be a great person. I don't like him for whatever reason. I'm coming around on Signetti. There's some things that rub me the wrong way, but he's phenomenal at what he does. I have no idea how any of these guys interact with their players. I have no idea how. I only know what I see. And I've seen more of Hurley than I have of most people interact with people that can do nothing for him. And that's part of the reason I don't like him. If you don't treat people that can't do anything for you well, I've got some concerns. Okay? So I wish we could just say that at the start, whether it's Scott Shanley. I know some other former teammates like Jason Peter had a tweet that kind of went a little viral that just start off with.
I didn't understand because Coach Rhule. So I want to be clear here, and I don't want to speak for Jason. but I know him really, really well. And I think Jason can have an opinion independent of how he actually feels about Coach Rhule. Because I think he likes Coach Rhule. But so I don't think he's coming at that from a like thing.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, I didn't really understand the tweet. I know it pissed a lot of people off. And it made a ton of message boards, and people are mad at him. But I don't know. I didn't understand. I don't know enough.
So that's why I included it in there, because it didn't make a lot of sense to me unless I'm viewing it from he probably just doesn't like this guy. So I could be wrong there, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But that's why I lumped it in together, because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I just wish we could start from that standpoint and just be honest enough to be like, hey, this opinion is because I don't like this person. Like I did that with your guy, Jay Sadi, right? We had an interaction on Twitter. I was like, hey, like, is there a problem here? It seems like you're not really a fan. He's like, oh no, I've never really liked you. I was like, oh, dope. Now I know where we're at. That's cool. Like, and
that's something he would say.
And
too.
we've had much more pleasant interactions since then.
You're gonna laugh at me. I'm telling you, he's a good dude.
Which is fine. And not everybody has to be a fan. I understand that. Yeah. But if I know that going in, then it's much easier than if somebody's like, oh no, I love what you do, and then is a a-hole all the time. It's like there's a disconnect there.
That's what I hate.
Right? Like if you tell me like, hey, I'm not for you, cool. Like I get that. But let's start there. Like if there's a lot of people that are connected to the program, used to be in the program or used to play for the program or whatever, that are way more interested in being right than the program being successful. And they would never say that, and they'd probably try and fight me for saying it, but your actions tell me how you feel. And there's a lot of people that are more interested. I don't know if it's in the clicks. I don't know what they get out of it. Whatever, just attention.
Are these people in the media?
Some of it's
because you have to hear from. Yeah, maybe.
Some of it's from the media. Some of it's former players. It's just a lot of people around. Media for sure. There's a lot of people in the media that, not to quote Coach Rhule, but like are profiting off the negativity around the program. Like, and that's the only thing that they do in their jobs is profit off the negativity around the program. But there's also people that we assume former players are always for the program. And there's a lot of former players that their actions or their words, at least on social media, you know them better than I do, so I can only judge them from what I know, do not line up with somebody that is for the program. Or it's certainly not for the program regardless of who's leading it, right? Like I heard it with Mike Riley a bunch, right? A lot of people when Mike Riley was here, even when he was winning, a lot of people, former players, media people, whoever, were not for the program because they weren't there for Mike Riley, which I understand. There was a lot of stuff to be like, I don't know if this is going to work. I get that they're top 10 in the country right now, but this all feels like smoke and mirrors. I get it. But that's also the best season Nebraska's had in 15 years, basically. And if you're for the program being successful, that should be a positive rather than being like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Right? Like Coach Rhule said it yesterday. I think he was quoting me, but this is the most successful Nebraska's been over a 2-year stretch since Bo Pelini. That's 3 coaches ago. So when people are like, well, just win, it's like, well, he's done that at a higher level than anybody in 12 years. So what do you want me to do with that information? We heard Ken Bykoff talk about it yesterday. Indiana was actually coming off the most successful stretch in their history, or one of the most successful stretches in their history when Curt Cignetti took over. We like to ignore that part of it, but we also like to ignore the fact that Nebraska was coming off literally the worst stretch in Nebraska football in modern history. I mean, like 100 years, basically. Certainly back to the 50s. We're talking pre-Devaney minimum, right? So if I'm sitting here and saying, hey, just win, it's like, well, he has more than the other 2 coaches combined. Now, that's not enough. I get that, and he gets that. If you think he thinks 7-5 is enough, you're out of your mind. I don't know what you heard yesterday if you think he thinks 7 wins is enough.
Well, he said it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he has told you it's not enough. So it's also
hang on,
the most we've had in over a decade.
I'm just listening. So when you say that, you're just basically like, okay, here's the facts. I'm not even going to put words in your mouth. Here's the facts. This is I can put this here. All right, what's the point? Two things can be true at once.
My point is,
I mean, for him, because I just want to make this.
Yes.
I'm just getting clarity.
This is my point. My point is, we refuse to acknowledge that real, tangible progress has been made under Coach Rhule.
Okay.
Every time we hear something negative about it, it's like, well, he's a used car salesman and they haven't won and whatever. And it's like, okay, I get they haven't won as much as we want them to. That's universal. Everybody agrees with that statement. They have not won as much as we want Nebraska to win. I don't think anybody that cares about Nebraska at all would disagree with that. But here's an undisputed fact. They have also won more than any team that Nebraska has had in 12 years. So both, as you said, both those things can be true at the same time. It's not enough, and it's still dramatically better than it was. And heading in the right direction. That's why I asked him the question about Dylan getting injured last year, because they are 6-2 with a lead against USC on November 1st. And then quarterback breaks his leg, and the season falls apart a little bit. And not all of that's on the quarterback, but you can't tell me some of it's not. Right? Like, and then not to mention the backup true freshman also injured, but playing anyway. So we're having this conversation about, year 3 Rhule and whatever and all this other stuff. And it goes, listen, they were 6-2. They were bowl eligible early in October or mid-October, whatever it was. It wasn't like you were down to the wire trying to win one more game against Wisconsin or Iowa trying to get bowl eligible in November. They were bowl eligible early. They were 6-2. He's right. They were still in the college football playoff hunt at that point. And if they beat USC, we're having a real conversation about it. And then the quarterback gets hurt when they have the lead on November 1st. And we act like that 7-6 is the same as the 7-6 the year before. And it wasn't. And then we act like the things that went wrong, he didn't fire people for. People lost their jobs for what went wrong last year. And we just act like he's like, oh, let's just run it back. Everything's great at Nebraska. I signed an extension. I'm cashing checks. I don't care. He fired people for what went wrong last year, even though they made real, tangible progress and are the only Nebraska football team to finish over 500 for 2 straight years since Bo Pelini. That is, all of those things are undeniable facts. And if you don't like them, that's fine, but you can't dispute them. And the only way you can try to dispute them is if you've just decided you don't want it to work with Matt Rhule. And again, that's fine, but tell me that at the start of your tweet. Right? When I was out on Scott Frost, what was I very, very clear about? I don't think this is a good dude. I don't think he's the right guy to lead the program. And I still wasn't rooting for him to lose. I just didn't think it was within the realm of possibility for it to turn around while he was still there. We had that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're like, well, if he does this and this, I was like, I just don't think it's in him. Right? But I was very clear about why I didn't think Nebraska was going to succeed. It's because I didn't think that was in him. If you're going to say, hey, I don't think this is going to work under Matt Rhule, or because nobody's going to say I don't want it to work because nobody's that self-aware. But if you're going to say, hey, I don't think it's going to work under Matt Rhule, let's start with how you feel about Matt Rhule. And then I have a better idea of the context of whatever you're laying out there. Because then I can take it with a grain of salt or just flush it down the toilet or do whatever I want with it, see if there's any meat to pick off that bone. But if you parade around acting like you're for the program and you're really not, that's where this gets toxic for the fan base. Because I sit in a really weird spot. Probably fan first, media second. I grew up as a fan. I never really learned how to be media. I kind of just ended up here because I thought it was something I wanted to do. And I love it. But I don't really typically think of things through a media lens. I didn't go to journalism school or broadcast school or anything like that. So I typically think fan first and then media. So when I say it's toxic to the fan base, I worry because not everybody has time to spend the amount of time on Nebraska football that you and I do, right? So they have to look to prominent members of either the media or former players or whatever for their information as they're scrolling their timeline at lunch at their job or whatever. And if that timeline is toxic, then it gets real easy to turn and be like, oh man, what's going on with Rhule? If you don't have an hour to listen to an interview that we did with him, which I thought was really good, then you only see a quote tweet that then frames those clips in a very different manner than the actual context does. And that's not the clip's fault either, because I saw quote tweets that were positive that also frame it in a very different manner, right? People can frame those things however they want to, but if you don't have the opportunity to spend as much time as Nebraska football as some people do, then all of a sudden your entire view gets changed by some guy you don't know just doesn't like the head coach.
So is part of the frustration, and I get it, right? I knew you, I said to the guys walking in, we were just kind of joking about the initial rundown. I said, I don't know. It depends on how pissed Ravi is about yesterday. I had a feeling,
yeah,
right. But here's the thing. So once you're operating in the know, like there's people that we chat with every day in this chat that, I mean, could spin it like fine yarn, right? Mm-hmm. I could say, I'm not even going to give him any oxygen. And somebody will see the negative in it. It's just it's a blanket statement, fairly innocuous, and it's so you're saying such and such and such and such. I don't know, man. Is that what you heard? Like, no. But so why so if people were just more forthright about the negative stance, is it going to change the delivery style?
If there are people, my delivery style or theirs?
Yours.
Yes, because I know what I'm dealing with. Like, I feel like
all right, we're the same. We're the same.
I think people are being disingenuous on purpose.
Yeah.
100, that's what bothers
100%.
They're like, oh no, I'm for the program. I'm for the program. Let me shit on the program. I'm for the program. I'm for the program. Let me trash the program. Like, that's my problem. If you want to trash the program, that's your right. Don't tell me you're trying to clean up.
What? So the thing you got. So help me here, because I think the only real thing, the thing that can elicit emotions like this, and I sit on them, right? I mean, I'm up. By the way, Shane, it was 12:41 in the second period of the Avs Kings last night.
So what are you going to ask me? Was I up?
There's no way. It went to intermission.
Let me explain.
And I'm like, it's 12:41.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's doing this. Why am I doing this?
Last night was super busy. I mean, there was 5 teams that I wanted to follow, pretty much playing all at the same time. And once we got to the last game, and once the glass broke, I was like, this is going to extend it at least another 20 minutes. Yeah. I can't do it.
So where I was going with like, the only thing that I was thinking about last night is, can we, and I try to say this all the time, but people have to take some self-inventory. I said it yesterday when he was pretty forthright about where he had gone wrong, right? And going back to Minnesota. And I said, some people will hear excuses. Some people will hear an explanation. The difference between the two is accountability.
Yeah.
Does anybody dispute that?
Not anyone who has any idea about it.
So what I can't get my mind around is when somebody owns something, why do we still call it an excuse?
Because we don't like them.
No, maybe.
I think that's a lot of it. I'm not trying to be dismissive. I think that's a lot.
That's the part. Like that's the part.
Here's the other thing that
he very in detail explained NIL. And why, and I didn't even know how I was going to ask the question, but I just asked it. I was like, look, man, at one point you said we're good. Like, what are we talking about? But I knew, but after he gave his answer, I knew what the point of that answer was. He clearly wants Nebraska to be in a position of aggression, not
always scrambling to try and
defensive.
Yeah.
That's what I took at. But I am also privy to like sentiments, like if we're just sitting around at a volleyball game too, right? Like, so it doesn't bother me when he says that, because if it's to me and we're sitting around and we're watching, Vivi or Leona or somebody, he goes, man, this is a direct, I'm just going to say, it doesn't matter. It's what's he going to do? And he's like, this is MF in Nebraska. Like, Nebraska does this, and people were copying your strength and conditioning programs. And I'm talking to these coaches that used to pattern what they do after Nebraska. And I'm a scrubby walk on, just trying to tackle a guy by the ankles at Penn State. And that was my dream. And I'm looking at Nebraska like, that's why he has such reverence for like T4. You could just tell guys that
understood what Nebraska was and what it can be.
That he messes with, right? That don't always say like affirming, hey, they're going to win 10 games, but he knows that they believe as much as he does. So the thing for me is why am I so animate about wanting to see the success? It's and I'm very clear on this. I've said this for 3 years. It's not because I like him. That's a byproduct. The reason that I liked him is because he loved this place before it was really lovable. And he was all in. So there's two things that get me to bristle up, right? The Penn State innuendos, because I know exactly how that thing shook out.
Yeah.
And I didn't need a middle person, right? Like, so why was it? And that's not what was happening. I don't know who told you guys that, but that's not what was happening. And it can't be a better source than the one I have, because I just saw that guy at the game. Can't be.
Yeah.
And he's not lying to me in front of that guy.
Yeah.
So we got to stop saying that.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm talking about when I say, like, that's where the passion comes from in defending the program, because we're watching film together, and it's two highly thought of recruits. I walked in, he's on the clicker, his back's to me. And he'd said, come in, so whatever. And he's like, sit down, I'm just going through this film. These guys will be here, and whatever, they were going to be here. And so I would say, oh, this and footwork and, this and that. And he goes, at the end of the day, he goes, we just got to remember two things. Do you love football, and how tough are you? That's what I keep reminding myself, because you can see it all on like the dry race boards and stuff. So when he's talking about toughness yesterday, like, I have a frame of reference of what he means. And I have to go back and listen to exactly what he said, but I have a frame of reference of what I think he's talking about. That's why I wanted clarity on what the pushback was also from JP and that whole timeline, because I don't know if that's what he was saying or not.
I don't either. But to be clear, also, he was responding.
And I'm not defending a form. Like, listen, there's no winning and losing in terms of picking a side.
No,
right?
But if you tell me, hey, Jason is for the program, then that changes how I view his statement.
Yeah, but it doesn't. So
that doesn't mean he's right, but it changes how I.
And it doesn't mean he's got to be for the program. And I'm just using him as an example, the same way that I am.
Sure.
Like, I'm not an eternal optimist, but I do like the facts. I do like. Because I ultimately always want a solution. Even if I'm the screw up, like, I ultimately want the solution. Like, even if I got to walk out of a therapy session because I'm pissed, like, I still want a solution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's ultimately kind of what it boils down to. Are we in the solutions business? Like, he conceded. He said he didn't go into detail when he talked about the fit with the coaches, but he goes, hey, man, like, thinking about that defensive coordinator job, maybe I did err too much in wanting to keep continuity.
Well, and he said he thought he rushed it. I think that was part of it. He felt like he needed somebody. I think he said he would have been more patient.
Yeah, because of the continuity. So, I mean, it's just like, for me, like, he's owning that. But I also, but I have to be careful about judging other people, because I am. And I think I told you, I'm like, this is eating him alive. Like, the fronts versus the way that they practice versus.
Oh, you mean the decision on the D coordinator?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that conversation, because there was a
couple of days.
There was a guy that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I
don't even like, and I'm just telling you guys this because I don't really like, sometimes you can know too much. I just was bouncing the idea off of my co-host because I felt like the decision was pretty tough.
Sure.
And even at that moment, you know, because he had so much of the affinity for Coach White, I understood kind of
what he was trying to do. So you asked me a question a second ago, and then we got to take a quick break here.
What time is it?
7:45.
I listen. Hey, I felt like I was listening for too long. Is that bad? Yeah, it's just.
I was talking for a hot minute there.
Yeah.
So you asked what kind of changes the way people perceive these things, and I quickly said whether they like somebody or not. That's the external answer. I feel like there's also an internal answer, and this is part of the reason I love sports and love processing through things like this. You know, like I grew up in a very conservative Christian evangelical home, right? And a lot of the way people talk about and teach in that sphere is talking about people justifying their actions, trying to find something within the Bible or teachings or whatever to justify whatever it is they want to do. And I never really understood that. But I think there's two different types of people. There's people that will try and find justifications for the way they want to act. And then there are people who will act based on what they feel is justified.
I've sat in service with people, and this, you know, there's some that internalize and they'll be like, "Oh, he's talking to me," and then there'll be other people that are like, "See, that's
he's talking about you."
Yeah.
And
that's pretty funny.
And so there's
true.
There's like a lot of situations where it's like, okay, are you looking for information when Coach Rhule talks to justify how you already feel about the situation? Or are you going to change how you feel about the situation based on the information provided to you? I had this conversation with a buddy I went to Christian college with, and I was like, listen, man, my worldview shapes how I act. How I act doesn't shape my worldview, right? I'm not going to construct an entire worldview about what I believe based on how I want to act. That's crazy to me. What makes sense to me is, hey, if this is what I believe about the world, what does that tell you about how I should act? Right? Those are two very different things. And if you can figure out which one of those things someone believes, you will understand to a much greater degree how they're going to process information. And I think a lot of people told on themselves yesterday. Wow. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be right back. Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
It's the declaration of deals at Edwards Jeep Council Bluffs in Village Point. Lease the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4, 0 down, starting at just $349 a month for returning lessees. Shift into spring with deals this good only at Edwards Jeep Council Bluffs in Village Point, or lease the 2026 Jeep Compass Limited, 0 down, starting at just $299 a month for returning lessees. Don't wait. Declaration of deals won't last. Get to Edwards Jeep Council Bluffs in Village Point.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
I think the state deserves to have great athletics coming out of the University of Nebraska and have great athletics. You have to have obviously good facilities. You have to have good coaches, but you need great players, right? When the national, I remember sitting there as a Penn State fan watching Tommy Frazier run through the entire defense on his way to a touchdown, right? I remember watching Eric Crouch catch 41 reverse pass. You know, I mean, great players make great teams. And so today's players cost money. It just is what it is.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. Coming up on the show today, we've got our Wednesday regular, Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7, coming up at 8. At 8:30, we've got Andy Kendeigh from KETV. And at 9, we're going to talk to Justen Gammel. He covers the NFL draft, and we'll start getting into that. I don't know if you know. Did you see the countdown clock on ESPN this morning? We're under 36 hours.
I did. I have my routine channel. I watch the news first just to see, who got ran over, who got shot, who got stabbed, what the weather's going to be.
Yeah.
And then I go over to Sports Center.
Yeah. I just like to make sure I didn't miss anything,
except
overnight.
it's not Sports Center. It's Kenny and Carlin.
Oh, so you watch ESPN too. You watch Unsportsmanlike.
Yeah.
Because you like your guy, Pat the producer.
Yeah. What was he over today?
Yeah. So what was his deal today?
I think today, I was too busy thinking about the 20 mile an hour and getting out of the car.
You got distracted.
What was Pat over today? Fudge. I can't remember.
That's disappointing.
I know. I listen every day.
That dude gets worked up about some weird stuff, which I find.
He was mad because the guys were cutting into his time over in his segment. He's like, "Hey, can you guys stop talking?" It's like, my pet's business.
My turn.
Yeah.
Surprised Shane hasn't done that to me yet.
Oh no, Shane is just over there like, what is going on? It felt very intense. But I'm
just here so I don't get fined.
I didn't really play the public litigation of the clips because I just gotten to the point where, unless there's a couple of my buddies that were like, who I kind of wanted to, I didn't want to. I mean, they can do what they want to do. I just want to make sure they had, before you say anything, just make sure you have all the information. What you do with it is totally up to you. Because, I mean, a lot of these guys that I rock with, sometimes we think the same, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I like knowing the lenses that you've got on. That's all.
Yeah.
I think that's really helpful.
I had a feeling.
Shane and I had a nice conversation about the Beastie Boys yesterday.
So, you know who's kind of how is Yuri on your side? He's too smart for that.
No, we had a conversation.
I do want to watch the Postal thing though on Tubi.
Oh, yeah.
I watched a bad CGI shark movie yesterday afternoon on Tubi.
Why?
It was so awful.
Was it like Megalodon 6?
What was it called?
Dark Waters or Dark Night or something like that.
Hell yeah.
Is that a
Fright Night? It was really bad.
Rico, are you like a bad monster movie guy?
Yes. I in college was not allowed to rent movies out of Redbox anymore because my roommate and my now wife told me that I couldn't because one time I brought 2 movies back. One was Zombies and the other one was Zombievers.
Okay. I remember Oklahoma Tyler and Platte City.
Hold on.
Kobe had a DVD player, and he got them out of the Redbox with the Walgreens and McDonald's in Platte City.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you get those back? And he goes, oh, it's not location specific. We'll just figure it out. They got Redboxes in Omaha. And I was like, it's only another hour and 50 minutes. This kid can't wait.
Nah, you do. We did that on a track trip once, coming up from Platte City on our charter bus.
Yeah.
We rented a movie off of Redbox so we could watch it.
Wild. Was it at that Redbox? Is it that Walgreens McDonald's one? That's funny.
Look on the screen. Austin put it up. Zombies.
I have a
It's terrible
question about Zombieverse.
Oh, I've watched some bad shows.
So is it zombie verse as in like the zombie universe, or is it zombie beavers?
Zombie beavers.
Like the animal, like
zombievers. And the thing is, when you get bit by the zombiever, you turn into a human beaver hybrid.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, it was bad.
No kidding. No
so
joke.
the Zombies one, it's like a zoo got like all the animals got turned into zombies, but the like gorilla is the one that they're most scared of. But whenever it's shots of the gorilla like attacking a person, it's just a dude in a gorilla suit.
Okay, but this is a bar from Zombievers. You'll all be damned. That rocks.
That is
pretty sick.
That's a great tagline.
I was not allowed to rent movies after that. After those two.
God, and I thought watching The Jester was
that's so much worse. Zombievers is so much worse.
And I think it is called The Jesters. And I only watched it because I thought it was going to be similar. I don't know if AJ can find the picture, but I thought the Jester, the guy, was similar to Black Phone.
Oh,
so I was like, I kind of like the Black Phone, although 2 was bad. But yeah, I've watched some I can't even cap. Like I've watched some really, really, really bad shows.
Rico, you know what?
Zombievers is on Tubi. I need you to watch it and get back to me.
Dude, the CGI shark movie I watched where the blood looked like food coloring and the sharks had those awkward little swimming moves. And I was like, that's
not how sharks swim.
You got to be better than that.
Okay, so Zombievers is 3 college girls go on a carefree, sexy, boozy vacation that comes to a sudden halt when a toxic zombie beaver tries to eat them alive.
So
that's not up your alley.
Rico heard sexy boozy and he's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Sexy boovy zombies. I mean,
let's do it. So when you said zombies, you know what this is so dumb. I wasn't thinking like zoo zombies. I was thinking like dogs that have the zoomies become zombies.
Oh, that's it. Except it wasn't 2, it was 1.
And so I was like, okay.
Dang, they made 2 of those?
He does kind of look like the Black Phone guy, though. You're right.
So the original, he looks just like it. How did he? They made the Jester 2.
I'm a big fan of bad like B-C movies, whatever.
Yeah, there's some bad ones. I've seen The Hive.
I can't.
I turned The Hive off.
I can't.
Yep, that's it. Tell me he doesn't look just like the Black Phone.
Like the Black Phone guy. Yeah.
Now you see me. Now you die. That's lit.
Dude, I think the runtime was like an hour 20.
I was like, that thing was barely an
hour 19.
That thing was barely an episode of on HBO. Like that thing was like $1.15 had to be.
Yeah, I can't even. Shane talks about. I can't even laugh. Like I've watched some bad shows.
I saw somebody put up that they caught their wife watching Slaughterhouse, and that's one that I wanted to watch that I never got a chance to watch. It's about like a killer sloth.
What?
$1.30 for 1, $1.27 for 2.
Yeah, shocker. What's The Hive? Look at The Hive. It's just called Hive, and go Hive Tubi.
All right, what do we got here? 124.
What's the summary?
Oh, the summary. Okay, let me see here. I was just looking for run times. Hoping to provide for their family, struggling widows start a business to sell a local food product. Together they find. Wait, that sounds like a wrong movie.
Yeah, that ain't it.
Together they find healing and a solace in new venture, but their will to live independently is soon met with hostility. Is it
Hive horror? Do Hive horror. Go simple. I want to see what the write up is.
Okay, Canadian horror thriller.
That's it right there.
Tubi.
He's got it up.
It shows Sasha, a teenager whose job is in a wealthy neighborhood, turns into a nightmare when she discovers the children are part of a sinister, synchronized hive mind on the playground.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
So I think
It doesn't sound sexy and boozy.
I think I was pressed for time. It was another one of those hour 20s.
Yeah, that one's $1.27.
Yeah,
or $1.24.
Because you guys ever seen Rubber?
That movie sucks. It's so dumb. It's funny.
Wait a minute. Is this a killer tire?
A tire that comes to life and uses psychokinetic powers to kill people. It used to be, I never did this, but in our fraternity, this was a rite of passage that the freshmen had to watch.
Okay.
The tire will like begin to vibrate and you just hear like a loud humming and then people's heads explode.
I think Russian Rambo should have been up for an Oscar.
I feel like I've been making fun of the wrong person for terrible movie takes.
It's him all along.
I didn't know that Rico got down like that. I was gonna make a joke about a movie called Rubber, but I won't.
Break the tension.
Gonna say Rico's definitely never seen it.
We got Nebraska baseball losing. We got people that can't comprehend information. It's anarchy.
Coming up next, we got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7.
It's time to shift into spring at Edwards Hyundai. Lease the 2026 Hyundai Kona SE all-wheel drive starting at just $179 a month. Shift into spring for less. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Drive away with more this April or save up to $7,000 off MSRP on the 2026 Hyundai Palisade XRT Pro. Don't wait. Shift into a fresh deal this spring at Edwards Hyundai.
How much of your game do you really see in that? And I'm guessing they probably showed you a lot of film of him and how he worked.
Yeah, I mean, to go off it, like, you know, they're like, you're not Rink, and, you know, Rink's not you. And, you know, like, obviously there were some similarities, but, you know, I have my own game, he has his own game, and I think that, you know, I can continue to get up to a higher level. I think playmaking, kind of like you touched on it, is something that I can continue to improve on, and I'm excited to improve on. I think that, you know, Coach Hoiberg and the offense and, you know, the shooters around me with the spacing is really going to, you know, help me see the game a lot easier. And I'm really excited to work with those guys. But yeah, and, you know, continuing to improve with my shot as well. I'm really excited for the opportunity. I think, you know, Coach Hoiberg said he's very personal, hands-on with the, you know, helping people in their jump shot. And I'm really excited to continue to improve that.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, you got guys walking into Ace Hardware without their shirts on.
Brian Christopherson.
We got a pretty good sewing circle in this state.
Brian Christopherson.
To me, it's like crunch time, baby.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mail Medical. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by our friend Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. What's up, BC? How we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
BC, you got to be doing better than good, don't you? Your Twins are actually playing fairly decent baseball, and the Central's going to be snug. Like, you're okay, right? You're above 500, one of the few teams in the American League.
Yeah, I've watched all of 2 games of the Twins this year, so I don't want to act like I'm a clubhouse attendant right now for them, or they're we and all that stuff. I kind of got on board after we kind of gave it to Ravi's Sox, although they did win the last game, and I watched a couple of the games against the Reds, and the Twins blew every game. So last night against the hapless Mets. I was like, I'm just going to keep my distance from this thing. But they kind of lured me in, and I watched the 9th inning, and it was nice to give the Mets their 12th straight loss. Sorry for all the Mets fans out there.
Yeah, they're in. I mean, newsflash, they're in big trouble in New York. They can't score runs.
I'm sort of at the point where I just want to see how long it goes. Like
for a team with that kind of payroll.
Yeah, like it's sort of fascinating.
And it can't just be their manager's fault. I mean, they brought in Simeon and you in Bichette, and I mean, they made all these moves. Those guys got to play better.
Yeah, like I get Soto's been out, but at a certain point, it's like they're like the bizarro 2002 A's right now. It's incredible.
Simeon's hitting like 225. Bichette's hitting 220. Like, I don't know. What do you want him to do?
That's such a big headline city, though. It's kind of funny. I was looking on X last night about sort of their reaction to losing to the Twins and their 12th straight loss. And there was quite a few people's like, Soto's coming back. They get there's kind of that New York, like, this big headline is going to shift the tides. There were people mad, don't get me wrong, but there was like this feeling things are going to switch up from a few of their fans, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I don't see them crawling out of that ditch. They could win the next 2 against the Twins. That's perfectly reasonable. Our bullpen arms can only go so far.
BC, did you think that X thread was more positive than Hurrdat Sports yesterday?
You have to.
That thing was.
What's the summary of the reaction to it? Because I always think, or what you guys think the summary of the reaction is, because I always remind myself with anything Husker related that there's a very small sampling that comments, and I love these people too. I live with, these are my people, like on message boards and that are on social media and comment on everything. So that I'm not trying to like take a shot here, but I also sometimes take a few steps back and I'm like, there's still like 95 to 97% of this fan base that we don't hear from, right? About like the daily stuff. And I always consider that because it does my mind good, because one thing I've learned through covering this team is sometimes I'll think like an opinion is slanted like 65-35 or 70-30 one way. And then something dramatic will happen. Like even when it seemed like obvious to me Frost was done dealing and it was going to end, you'll still find more people that suddenly rise up that you hadn't heard from. That are like, oh, there are a lot of fans that will ride with whoever as long as he's your guy, and you just don't hear from him as much. And so I always keep that in mind when whatever reaction you get to anything, that there's a lot of people you are just not hearing from. And so I probably sometimes speak for the fan too much, as like, I think they're thinking this, and it's like, I don't know what they're thinking. It's all over the place probably. But what did you get was like the online take of the interview?
So it was super interesting, BC, because like it very simply depended on A, which clip they watched, or if they watched the whole interview, and B, whether or not they were responding to a quote tweet of the interview or not. Because a lot of it on the negative side was used car salesman, just win, whatever. But then if you went to the YouTube page where people watch theoretically the whole interview, or at least most of it, largely positive, right? Almost all positive on the YouTube comments, which is and then if you go to the negative quote tweets, almost everybody is defending the program. So it's almost like on Twitter, people are just looking for the opposite of what they believe so they can yell at somebody, whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
And then
we do that.
When you get the entire context of the interview, which was on YouTube, it's mostly positive. So it is, to your point, I think you're right. First of all, like, as much as we all spend time on Twitter and have to for our jobs because we work in sports, Twitter's largely a toxic wasteland. Like, I think we all understand that. And so that, I think, needs to be very much taken with a grain of salt when you're looking at people's reactions to things, because I think you're right. I do think the vast majority of people are positive, but not nearly as online as the negative people are.
I think they're. Go ahead, Damon.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't even know if it's a positive or negative thing as much as it is like just overall comprehension. Like, and I don't mean low or high. I mean whatever your strainer is. Like if it's a quote unquote negative strainer, then you process the same information to kind of validate how you feel. If it's a positive strainer, then I think you process the information how you feel. Sometimes I think we just need to take the information, and this is really hard. And Ravi makes fun of me for doing this because I listen to people that I don't like all the time. I wouldn't say all the time, but enough to maybe learn something, because sometimes I can disassociate how I feel about them and just base it on is what they're saying. Can it help me? Like, is there anything edifying in there that I can learn? Because a lot of times that answer is yes.
Yeah. A lot of us hear what we want to hear, as you're kind of getting at there. Like, for instance, I understand what he's saying yesterday, like in the fall when he was talking about NIL, and there's sort of the thought, like, people heard the line, like, we've got what we need now to, compete. This is back in the fall when he said this, with to get the guys basically to go after head to head with some of the big boys after some of these guys. And then yesterday you heard him basically say, I speak the truth as I know it in that time. Things do change. And I think people need to really understand that in this college landscape, the ground moves like it never has before. Just like, this is not to divert to a different direction, but think about it this way. Like, there's like this talk of like the 5-for-5 rule now, and when is that going to come into play? Who would that impact? And how quickly would that come into play? Think about now, like, if you're a coach or a GM, if you're Fred Hoiberg or Matt Rhule, and there's certain guys, like, we know who they are, that you could think about, like, oh, that could really be useful, like, for one more year with that player. But you don't know when that's going to happen or whatever. And then it could change tomorrow. Like, that's just the landscape we're living in, where you've got to constantly process what might be the guardrails or when they might put those guardrails in place along the road. And it becomes a very challenging thing. And so there are some people who, like, heard that comment the other day and he's like, oh, okay, well, why'd he say what he said in the fall? Then, well, things changed, and hopefully people can see that because things are changing every 48 hours sometimes, like in college sports now.
When you're looking, so I thought he said something that was interesting about, Nebraska needing to go along the lines of what you're talking about. We hear what we want to hear, like needing to go first, right? Because a lot of times I heard, or some of the comments I heard were, whatever happened to just developing, and I'm thinking, well, he talked a lot about, like, what they're trying to recruit to, what they're trying to develop on campus, how to stay in the moment. Like, that was the part about needing good players was in addition to, not in place of, because he had talked about patience earlier in the discussion about development. Did you feel like there was a line of demarcation, or did you feel like it was part of the discussion?
Yeah, those are two separate things. You're going to need the money sometimes to go after some of the biggest dogs, and you're going to fall short if you don't have the same money others have. At the same time, if you don't get a few of those, you go back to the lab with the squad you have. You appreciate the guys you have, and I think it's a pretty interesting storyline over there in the fact that Nebraska, I don't know what the layout is compared with all other power conference programs, but there are so many guys really for this day and age that are like third, fourth year type players, like, in that system now. And so, yeah, the development phase is everything to maybe make up some ground where you don't have quite as much as some others that you want to be on the same level competitively with. So I think those two things, you can talk about both, and they're not colliding with each other in any way. Go back to basketball 2 weeks ago, just before the portal opened, and it's different because, Fred's got to get, 5 guys basically. There's a different number of players you're looking for, and maybe
a distinction.
Yeah, pretty big deal. And you might need like 3 of them really to to just completely hit, right? So where they're like in your rotation with basketball and stuff. But he was asked at that press conference about the Sweet 16 run sort of, and like how that can maybe help, you know, selling your program. And he did say it does help to some degree, but initially he made that universal sign of like the money, right? It's the money, you know, rubbing your fingers together. That, I mean, it still comes down to that. Even if you are sort of feeling like you've got things grooving for your program, like basketball did this last year. So what you're saying, though, the two things, the development and then the money part, both are separate, and you're not bringing one opinion out to intercept another. Both can be true.
Yeah, he didn't duck the stadium renovation project either relative to NIL. You know, he was clear about the line of delineation kind of as he saw it in terms of pools of money. When you look at,
I don't remember what was his quote on, or what was the
Shane,
summary of that?
I can't remember how you labeled it. I don't want to miss.
You can go on if you don't. I know you don't want to misquote him. Yeah.
You know, but you know, basically he's talking about trusting his administration. Do you have it labeled, Shane, good enough where you think you can pull it?
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine. We'll get back to it. BC, and you kind of understand the two separate entities as we talk like hard dollars, right?
Yeah. I mean, those things can be different too. You know, and the bottom line is, and Troy Dannon knows this, they're going to need that stadium to make money that it's not making year round. Some people don't want to hear this, but that's a simple fact. And it's probably got to happen sooner than later, where you pull the string on that project, which they're now doing, and you get going, because it is like I think like a 40% increase annually to the money you could bring in, you know, by updating that stadium. And some people will be like, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it, sort of thing. But I do know there's a lot of dollars that are left on the table if you don't go forward with this. And so I think Matt Rhule, especially with the relationship he's really had with Troy Dannon, at least, you know, just looking in on it from the outside, to me, he understands that he has an AD that is always looking at all the angles of college athletics now, and what way can Nebraska best position itself to be in that upper tier, while knowing there are challenges and there's lumps and there's going to be tough critiques that you sometimes take along the way while doing that stuff.
BC, as we talk through this and talk about basketball versus football and things like that, and obviously they're very, very different, but I'm always fascinated by the way we process sort of the process of how the teams have gotten to where they're going or on the way to getting where they're going. And it's a long way to ask, like, why do you think we seem to be so effusive in our praise of the patience that it took for Fred Hoiberg to get where he was going, yet despite real and measurable progress in the football program, we seem to totally lack any appreciation for patience at all?
I think the real answer is the deep history of Husker football. It just goes back so far. You know, like it's something people think about even back into the 60s and 70s. It just, like, against all odds, Nebraska football became in a state, you know, it's grown now, but like of 1 million people or whatever at the time, to become one of the top 5 programs for basically 50 years or something. That's like baked into us, you know? And so even though, like, there's an understanding at some level that, like, it was like the 7 worst years that preceded Matt Rhule arriving here, there's still, that always is sort of at odds with that, like, historical part that's in people's heads of what Nebraska football is supposed to be, because they've seen it at that level at one point. And I actually don't want to knock that or take a glove to that too much, because I do think that's part what can make Nebraska great. And I think Rhule, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think in a way he would agree with that. Like it's that sense of striving to be still one of the top 5, top 10 teams in the country in everything you do, even if people snicker at the thought that you're going to do it and all that, because you do have to have that mindset. So there's part of it that's good, but I think that's why sometimes, like, yeah, there could be more appreciation at some level probably for like the fact, hey, they didn't even make a bowl game for this long, and now they've done it twice in a row. But I also want to give the fans that are really skeptical right now their due and say they didn't like how it felt the last 3 or 4 games. Nobody did. And that's the last taste in your mouth. And meanwhile, basketball, it's a really pleasant thought right now about what's happened the last couple of years. So I think right now we're just dealing with, that season could have went the other way. You guys talked about it with them when, they were 6-2 and on the 25-yard line at USC in the third quarter of that game leading. But it didn't. And because of that, there's always that, what's the last thing you did? I don't know, that emphasis that is going to connect to every take you hear in an off season. And so that's kind of the off season we're dealing with right now.
It's interesting. You talk about the off season and OTAs, and they kind of flip back to Matt Drills. And he said, we're kind of doing some of our tough-minded stuff situationally. And he's pretty open about going back to being down 7-6 to Minnesota and kind of the fragile psyche and how it kind of, it was upsetting. And he's like, look, man, that toughness piece and stop looking over your shoulder kind of stuff starts with me. Like if I had my greatest source of anxiety for Nebraska over the last handful of years is the fact that they fold so easy, right? It's the mental toughness because of the the recent lack of success. Yep. And I'm just thinking to myself, is it the chicken or the egg thing? Because I hope not, because you can't wait for the signature breakthrough moment before you really understand that you can't let an onside kick ruin your season. You can't let a bad play against Colorado ruin your season. You can't, blow a coverage in Southern Cal 2 years ago and have that. Like you have to at some point get past that. Do you think that starts individually, or do you think that's foundationally laid within what you do in the day-to-day in your culture?
Man, that's one of those like questions that feels like we've been on the couch about for like,
I think
10 years. It's hard.
It's just my opinion, but outside of the signature player or the great recruiting or the the infrastructure, the building, because I just, BC, where I ask the question is, at some point we had to get past the Mike Krolls and the Bruce Pickens and the Neil Smiths. I mean, great players, unbelievable players, where you transformed. And I remember talking about this kind of being this other-centered thing, and how it's more than just having good players, and so that's what I always come back to. It's just mental toughness, because people misremember the 93 season was ugly offensively, the 94 season was ugly offensively, but never did we really waver, and we still hadn't won anything yet. So that part of me makes me think it's individual, but I also know we had to have some guys that promoted being selfless too for that to matter, like not caring what people thought about us, because that's a big deal here. We undersell it, and we say people are soft, and we say all these things from the outside, but very few of us have similarly been as heavily scrutinized on the day-to-day and then say, hey man, just hang in there.
Can't listen to what people think though.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I asked the question from the outside looking at your thoughts.
Yeah. The last part you said was really interesting to me. I think you can, you have to probably get to that point where you just don't care so much what anybody on the outside says and it doesn't have to become an us versus them thing. Like you could, and I know you can't ignore everything, but it's a real skill or impressive trait to have that like sort of, I trust in what I'm doing daily. I trust in what this guy next to me is doing daily. I see it. I'm going to believe in that as opposed to what someone outside says that isn't seeing this each day. And that doesn't, and again, I'm not saying people on like Matt Rhule said, when he goes to the gas station in Waverly or whatever on his way in, you want people talking about football. You want people analyzing this program to some degree, but you do have to somehow take that all in here and also have that ability to not let those other opinions define what you're going to be, or let what happened last year in this particular game in October say this is how it's going to be going forward. You've really, especially now, I think got to be able to look at it and be like, hey, everyone around the country is flipping their rosters in some ways. Even the teams that made the college football playoff last year, they've got to adjust to new guys and new coaches and all this certain stuff. They've got to overcome some of the same stuff we've got to overcome if I'm inside those walls. That's how I'd want to look at it and just embrace that challenge. One of the things I loved that he said on your show yesterday was the schedule part. And it is a tough schedule. They play 3 college football playoff teams. Not everybody does that. I like how he said, we recruit to that schedule. We're embracing that schedule. We don't want to talk about like, oh, this schedule's got, like, I'm glad to hear that. I like the fact that, the Minnesota game's the one that's easy to pick out. He talked about the Maryland game with you guys the week before, remember when, he made a really good point, and they won that game, and it felt good when they're running around doing the lap and, high-fiving fans afterward. But yes, they were up 14 points in the second quarter. I remember early in that game thinking like they can house these guys. They could, and they did. They didn't do it.
And played better. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have had to worry about a Friday night kick, right? The emotional drain. I was surprised he went there, but because what we say out loud is, well, he always talks about playing close games, but that's not really what he's saying. They don't have to be. We're just in a state of mind right now where it just seems like it doesn't matter what we do. It's just going to come down to that. Like, you had a chance to step on the gas and didn't, and handle your emotions differently. You just didn't.
That Maryland game is one of those examples. We talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago, where you can highlight both things to your team as you're moving into it and pushing it forward. That's an example that you guys can win close games. You won some last year. You've done it. Also, with that, it didn't have to be a close game, so you can get the best of both worlds out of that point to your team. Sort of like how we were talking about. You have the stat. Which is true about them being like a top 30 defense. What is it, the last 5 years or whatever? You can bring that forward and also be like, look at the red zone touchdown percentage defense. It was abysmal last year, and you can pair those two things, and it can be motivation for your team in both ways. But it is an interesting balancing act, I guess, of like. And I don't know where it comes from, where you guys got it in those great teams back then to kind of get over that hill of where you just believed in yourself and you expected it to happen, and you didn't think about what happened with previous guys or anything like that. It's just about what you're doing in that moment. It's such a psychological part of sports. It's fascinating, and if Husker football can ever grab that in the right way, I still think they've got the guys over there, and they've put enough guys in place. As much as we talk about the NIL and guys that got away, I still think there are players over there that can win a good amount of games.
It's just interesting because and maybe it's just because we're not there, so we don't think it, but it just doesn't seem like a lot of other schools focus on what could go wrong near as much as we do. And maybe I'm just hypersensitive because it's us.
Yeah, I don't know. There could be truth to that. like I know as like a Minnesota pro sports fan, like with the Vikings and in their fandom, there is kind of that sense of like, their shoe's always going to fall. So I do think it exists in some places. It is connected to like your history, and in this case, Nebraska's recent history. But to you, the point you made a couple of questions ago, that's going to be the key, is like you have the guys that they don't see it that way, that are involved in the actual action of deciding wins and losses. And if they can be that type of team, and they can start strong this year, I think there's a possibility for that. Build confidence. Who knows? Like, I'm interested. I'm kind of that point now in the season where I'm like really into the roster and like diving in, like what's this 2 deep going to look like and stuff like that. And I know some want to kind of go back and rehash what happened in this thing or that thing a year ago. It's a new squad with a lot of new parts, and they'll have interesting guys at each level of the defense that we haven't seen before. You've got a new quarterback, and in a weird way, I think it was kind of a quiet spring here, but I don't know that that's bad for them. I just think they were able to sort of put their heads down and go to work. Like a guy like Anthony Calandria, I wrote about it last night. He's an exciting player to come in as a conference player of the year last year from where he was. And there's been some excitement about him, and I think there's optimism, but I don't think the hoopla has been like what it was about a new quarterback coming in like it has been some years I've covered it. And whether that matters at all, I don't know, but I think it can be useful that Anthony Calandria just go to work, bond with your boys, and the spotlight will come on soon enough where everyone will have their critique September 5th. But I think the offseason's been good in that respect for this team.
It's funny you bring up the point about Calandria that, I have no idea what his season's going to look like, but there's been a lot of quarterbacks who have been a lot less productive at whatever level they've been at that got way more celebrated than Calandria. Like I remember we
absolutely
rode the Chris Mortensen, hey, Tanner Lee's an NFL quarterback quote for 6 months, and Tanner Lee threw like 12 touchdowns at Tulane his entire career, basically. Like it's a very astute point by you that for a guy that was highly, highly productive last year on a, I believe, 10-win team, by the way, we're just kind of, by the way,
just gun shy
that he is here.
Yeah, that's what it is. And that's fine. It's fine to be gun shy about it. And I think it's fine for Andrea and those guys that's been the case. And obviously there was other distractions with basketball and everything going like it did. And I think that was useful. We've been over that. So hopefully they made the most of it and are continuing to make the most of it. I think the early spring was a smart move. And now you've got guys sort of going over what they did together and bonding on the field, in these weeks before summer. So if I'm a player, I like the schedule. I like the challenges. And I like the fact that we jumped right into spring football. I got to know my new guys on the field that way. And now let's see what we can do with it, how we can grow each day.
In my infamous sprint around this studio was over the fact that a player was pretty upset about talking about the schedule and said they were motivated by it. So basically, they're not going to run from it either, at least verbally. I don't get that sense at all.
Owen Chambliss early on, might have been even before spring ball started, came up, and he's like, I love this schedule. I've looked at every team on this schedule. Like, I mean, it just to see his eyes light up talking about it. And I kind of walked out of that room, and sometimes I come back to my little nerd layer, and you're like, oh man, look at what they did this, with all the metrics and stuff like that. It's good to hear from a ball player who's just like, let's go, like I'm excited to play Ohio State. I want to play Oregon, that sort of stuff. That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm. That's our guy, BC, Husker 24/7. Brian, appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And it was a good interview. I appreciated listening to it.
Thanks, B.
Thank you, sir. That is Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Let's take a quick break here. We will get to Andy Kendeigh from KETV. We got a little baseball, softball to get to as well. Yeah. That's the BM Ravi Lulla. We'll talk a little bat ball sports coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's time to shift into spring at Edwards Nissan. Lease the 2026 Nissan Rogue Platinum starting at just $349 a month. Shift into the ride you've been waiting for. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Drive away with more this April. Or lease the 2026 Nissan Pathfinder SV, a third-row SUV, starting at just $399 a month. Don't wait. Shift into a fresh deal this spring at Edwards Nissan.
I mean, I think Shadron is more of a celebration of the state and, taking our team all the way out west and to enjoy the people out there. And, I know Northern Colorado will be a totally different type of team than the teams we've played. So how do we adjust to that? But, I want to see us, get a little bit better. But I know we only have 1 week left, and how can we enjoy that and set everybody up for an awesome off season where they're really excited to come back, in June and not dreading coming back. So we'll have a really fun and really tough week.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. Reminding you, give our guys over at Next Gen Mail Medical a call. I need to ask them because
I'm going there today.
Not everybody. Oh, you're back on Wednesdays. I'm proud of you. You made it. Looks like we made it.
I think he's sick of my text. He's like, we're gonna get this guy straightened out.
I gotta ask him though, because it seems like and we want everybody that listens to the show support the people that support us. It seems like some people that either see our clips on social media or are in the chat sometimes, like maybe they need some help with like mental acuity, like staying sharp. They might have some of that at Next Gen also. Like we should ask them about that. I know they're really good with the vitamins and the peptides and stuff. Maybe it's just they don't get enough sleep. They do. I know they can help you out with sleep a little bit.
Dr. Cranky Pants.
Who? I'm cranky?
Dr. Cranky Pants.
Hey, There we go. You got him already. You're on it. Appreciate it. That's make sure you give him a call. 402-614-9700.
I got a quick trigger finger.
What was it, Suave?
It was Mr. All Caps.
We got people using burners in here, trying to think they can get around the system.
6x9 smoking burners. Oh boy. What did Lee ask me? DB, tell the truth. You get emotional on Tuesday. What's Tuesday, champ?
What is Tuesday?
I don't know. Lee knows me pretty well, so it could be something from
I
way
met
back.
Lee at one of the Nebraska basketball watch parties at the bar.
Oh yeah, yeah. I told he's pretty snarky, but he's funny as heck.
Yeah, no, I liked him. He was.
I told you.
Oh, Lee's cool. I like Lee.
You. What's Tuesday, boss? I don't know. Oh, day before you. Oh no. No,
the hormones getting a little wacky on the last day before.
See, I knew it was going to be something snarky. Figures. No,
That's funny.
Tuesdays are fine.
Yeah,
Scott, I'm all sorts of screwed up.
Well, yeah, you don't sleep. We know that.
Well, it's intensified because I have to keep Biggie close.
Oh yeah,
and he's a mess.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Oh yeah, he's an.
That sucks, man.
He's an absolute mess. He sits up and he makes these crazy noises and he tries to lay down and he walks around and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So that we have some do we have AK, Shane?
Not yet. Still waiting for him.
He might think 8:45 because I don't know if we've ever really distinguished that we're going to do 8:30.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
He might think 8:45.
That's fine.
They have like a relaxer. It's not quite a sedative, and you like give him half, and he chills.
Yeah.
But remember when I had to run home yesterday, and I kept my stuff here?
Yeah.
So on the Ring camera, Bella, the terror, is on the dining room table. The reason why I originally went home is because one of the lawn guys was there, and I keep the back door open, so I didn't want her to get out, like have them let the gate. I just didn't want it to be a bother.
Yeah.
So I left. That's why I left so fast. You're like, hey, you can, I was like, nah, I got to get there.
Yeah.
Went back and looked at the Ring camera. What time did I get there? 10, 12, 10, 13?
Couldn't have been much later, and it might have been before that.
Yeah, Rico, that dog had been on the dining room table since 8:38. She couldn't get down. Tore up every napkin.
Can I pet that dog?
I wanted to wring her little baby neck. Could not get off.
Oh, that's funny.
You just start leaving snacks and toys on the dining room table for the next time.
I cleared it this morning, and I got to tilt the chairs forward now, so she'll probably still figure it out.
We do have our guy Andy Kendeigh here now from KETV. AK, what's going on, man?
What's happening, boys?
Okay,
great day. Great day.
I noticed this last time. You got to tell me what's going on with like the dark windows, because it looks like wherever you're at, it's midnight.
Right there?
Yeah, no, to the other side. It looks like
This one?
Probably his wine cellar or something.
No. This is a storage room, which used to be like the previous owners had this as a gamer room.
Okay.
And we just throw a bunch of crap in there, and to turn off the lights, it just avoids you guys having to look at all the crap that's stacked up in there.
So
we'll get there when we have some free time.
No, it looks like
I love your setup though.
It looks like a patio door, so that's why I was like, oh, I was like, why? Where is it? Why is it always dark where you're at?
Here you go. Here, you see like an old dollhouse, and there you go. Yeah, it's great stuff. It's a staging area, we like to call it. We'll be good when we move into this place. We've only been here for 16 years.
AK, speaking where were you last night? Were you at the softball complex?
I was in studio because we have a 9, Damon. I'm sure you watch on MeTV nightly, and we had to do that live last night.
With you, so that I can't tell you how miserable that is. Like,
preach. It is game changer, as they call it.
And you guys now are like matching all the time slots, but I am going to tell you, and unless you do it in the fall, and I'll be at practice, so I won't care. If you guys start doing the 3 o'clock, 3:30 thing, that's too goddamn early to be starting the news cycle. I don't know why people do that. 4 o'clock is plenty early enough.
I know, and especially when we have a noon, it's gonna all come together. It's all gonna be gonna be CNN local. It's gonna be 24-hour news service before we're done. I have no idea. I have no idea what's in store for the fall.
The one day it did work though was the Walmart day, because the things were happening by the minute. So the fact that so many news site was interesting.
But thankfully those days don't happen often. Thankfully,
Zoe was I was at home with Mike, as Zoe was at the softball game, Nebraska and Omaha. And she's very adamant that the one team is just so good, Dad, but they were supposed to be good. At least that's what all my friends said. And I'm like, Zoe, both those teams are really good.
Yeah.
One's top 3 in mid majors, the other one's number 1 in the big kids. Sport, that's the difference. But that crowd was wild.
Yeah. An amazing crowd, amazing atmosphere from what I could tell on TV and from the video I saw that Ben Smith shot for us, KETV. Pretty fantastic. And what's really cool is that most of those rosters are made up of Nebraska kids. And that's really awesome. It just speaks to where softball's at in the state and where it will continue to grow. And I'll tell you what, UNO toe to toe, and then by the later innings, then Nebraska just flexed, and man, they just come at you with so many different people. If one of your stars isn't doing it, then not having a good day or not having her normal day, another girl will pick her up in the lineup. It's pretty amazing to see where this team is at and where this team could be headed. And don't want to get too far or get too over my skis at this point, but shoot, big things are ahead for this team, and it's going to be fun to see. It's shocking when you look at the schedules. I shouldn't say shocking. It always hits you that, oh my goodness, the season's almost, the regular season's almost done, especially for softball. Baseball, you got a few more weekends, but man, for softball, this is it, really. The last couple weekends, and then Big Ten tournament, which, by the way, I looked up just before coming on, in Maryland, a hotbed of Big Ten softball in Maryland. And then we go to regionals. So bring it on.
We took a tour. Ben gave Jess, myself, Kyle kind of a crash course, because famously it's one of the places he detests the most from doing a broadcast. They put him on kind of like this stoop thing, and this was pre-picnic table from a couple weeks ago, which also pissed him off. But there's like this little stoop there at Maryland, and it's like, I don't even know how those guys function, but to pick Maryland as the site, given who your good teams are in the tournament, I'm like, why?
Yeah. It's got to be a rotating thing, right? You got to give everybody a chance to host or whatever, but I don't know.
You want to draw numbers, right?
You want to draw numbers and attention to your sport, don't you? So don't you want to put on the best possible showcase? And where would you put that on? Where would the best possible host site be in the Big Ten? Well, I could think about 3 of them right off the top of my head. And
Maryland, baby.
Maryland does not make the list. No offense to my Terp softball, loyal fans, but just seems like an odd pick for, especially this year. I don't know. It is frustrating in terms of watching. It's frustrating to see what happens with the way the conference treats baseball, softball, right? And there are so many good programs in both sports, and so many great fan bases in both sports. And it is interesting to see how those sports are treated. Some of it's just financial, purely dollars and cents, and what the budgets are and what have you. But man, it just seems like this is an area in which they could do more, right? Yeah. I think that they could improve, and I think internally they probably are looking for ways to improve it. But especially this spring, when having a program to follow that is so good in both baseball and softball, it's really apparent where those sports sit on the pecking order.
Especially, AK, given the fact that ABC and ESPN, like Disney, is all in on your product.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you're gonna get the TV eyeballs. Your best 4 teams, 5. I mean, if Indiana's 5th, right? Not near as far east as Maryland. Then it's Washington, UCLA, Oregon, Nebraska.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got to help me make it make sense.
ABC now has so much inventory to fill, and where they sit, they usually wait for the NCAA tournaments before they start popping those games out.
They tweeted out the softball schedule. I think the finals are the week of June 12th. I'm like, how is
now you're testing me here. Let me see.
Softball and baseball have a chance to be done well before the NBA playoffs, which I
no question.
I always chuckle about. I used to love doing those CWS shows with the NBA playoffs still looming. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh no, they're going to be there's some overlap in the both and NBA and NHL. ABC does have a couple Stanley Cup games, which I know you guys are thrilled about.
Women's College World Series looks like it's done the 5th at the latest.
5th at the latest. Yep. And then there's a couple games on ABC, which is actually really smart. A doubleheader on May 30th. No, a single game on the 30th. Single game on the May 31st.
Well, June 5th is quick. Not even. What do we?
I know it's going to be over within like 5 weeks, boys. This is why I embrace it. This is go time here.
Hey, so. What are your thoughts, you eternal optimist? I know you just ooze optimism.
Yeah.
Nebraska baseball runs the table. Can they host? Or does it?
Absolutely. I don't even think it takes around the table. And look, my glass is, I don't want to spill, but it is half full. I do think baseball does have a chance. I was looking at real-time RPI last night before I went on. I meant to throw this in at the end. Sometimes live television, you just forget basic stuff.
Dude, who you telling?
Boys, and you guys have a little longer runway, and you guys forget stuff. I forget stuff all the time. And last night they came in ranked 14th on real time RPI. They lose, and they jump a spot. I wouldn't say jump, but move up a spot. So they're now 13th. So yeah, of course they. You would hope they could win every game, and that would be the obviously best case scenario. If they win every game they're in terms of hosting. But I'm not so sure if they stumble once or twice that they could still – I still think that there's an avenue for them to host that first weekend. Now, you don't want to play with fire there. The easiest way to get to hosting would be to win out, obviously. Can they do that? Of course they can. But will they do that? That's another story. But you got to have a couple things fall into place. Obviously, last night didn't work out the way they wanted to. And I will say, Kansas is a little chippy, aren't they? That's goodness. That'd be an interesting matchup to see them both land in the same regional. I think that would be a lot of fun, especially if Nebraska was hosting.
Yeah, that's like the third meeting in a row where it's about jumped off. So it's definitely a thing going forward. Let me ask you, AK, if your Nebraska baseball and you kind of know what's at stake from a hosting standpoint, they've been super flexible with their lineups and tinkering. Mm-hmm. How much more maneuvering do you think you'd be willing to do? Or do you just think the hot hand and playing what's working is just the DNA of how they're going to do things?
I think the latter. I think you hit it on the head. You go with the hot hand, and you trust your team to do their jobs. In terms of if you got a guy who you've seen swinging the bat well and practice, and you got a feel for it, and you want to put that person in a tight spot when the game on the line, you have the trust in your guys. You do it. That being said, you're not reckless in that regard. You make calculated decision. I think Will Bolt does a great job doing that, and he knows his team. Yeah, inside it out, obviously. So I think they have enough pieces to kind of wiggle the lineup around depending on matchups and feel. And you can do the analytic games all you want, but sometimes it comes down to a gut feel. And I think Nebraska has a team that even when they were down last night, fellas, like they were down, 9-4?
Yep.
And they get to the 8th, and Shamrock comes up, Bill comes over, and I'm like, yeah, here we go again. I'm like, they're never going to win another game, one of those deals. And then I look over at them about 5 minutes later. I go, Bill, they got the bases loaded with no outs. It's that kind of team. They just keep coming at you. They're hard to kill, and I think that will serve them well moving forward.
AK, you mentioned kind of the schedule on the way out, and was it 14 games left? I think they've got 3 series and 2 midweeks, or 4 series and 2 midweeks. I mean, obviously, yeah, they went out. They would in all likelihood host a regional, but like, what do you? I don't think winning 14 in a row to end the season is necessarily the most realistic outcome.
Right.
It's not possible. So like where do you kind of feel comfortable in terms of a win-loss in the last 14? You go, yeah, they can still probably be okay.
I think they go 12-2, they'll be all right. I think 12-2. Don't you guys? I mean, 12-2. It's just where that other, it's where your losses are. 3 of the 4 series are on the road. It's kind of a weird scheduling quirk, but
it is backloaded with that.
Yeah, and you got it at Illinois, at Ohio State, home against Iowa, and then at Minnesota with some midweek sprinkled in, including a game against Creighton and a game against Kansas State. So you got some opportunities there. I think if they go 14 and what is it, 12-2? You said 14 left? Yeah, 12-2. I think they host.
AK, Ravi had a very interesting 20 minutes this morning where he was talking about how we process information. And I this is on the heels of, we posting the interview yesterday, which didn't seem like 50 minutes, or however long. Was it 52, 58, whatever it was.
Pushing an hour. I don't know.
We're just trying to get to some of the nitty gritty. He let us ask him just about anything. Are you ever taken aback either way about how differently people digest the same information?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what you're thinking about going in, right? I mean, your mind is set. Like, you're looking for ways to defend your notion, right? And if there's a little piece that will defend your thought process going in, you're going to stick to that. I will say that was awesome that you got him. That kudos to you guys. That was a great interview and great. I don't even know what you call it. Do we call it radio anymore, or podcasting, or what do we call this?
I don't know.
I just called a show. I don't know.
Yeah, it was great listening. Great listening. And I appreciate the fact. You know what I do appreciate? I appreciate that he was on, and it wasn't like Big Time Media Days or first day of something. It was just kind of a free flowing. You could ask him anything. There really wasn't anything huge pressing. I guess the stadium stuff was the most recent got to ask stuff, but there wasn't a laundry list of gotta ask him. He's got to. I need to know what Matt Rhule thinks about blank. And I just thought that really benefited the conversation because he could go really anywhere, and he did. Which, in character, I thought it was very well done. And I appreciated that.
You want to know how it honestly shook out? I said, talk to me, big timer. You threw out the notion that you wanted to come on this week. Shoot me some times where it works well for you. Mm-hmm. He responds back at 8:25. I'm free now.
Well, I knew it had to be something like that because you guys usually like lead up and promote and the whole bit, and that screamed like, I can do it now. Let's go.
I go, seriously? ? He goes, send the damn link.
There you go.
I said audio only or what? He goes, IDGAF. You tell me, bro. That's where we were at yesterday.
There you go. And I'll tell you that,
he was locked in.
Well, it was cool too, because, and I appreciate this too. He hasn't been on a million shows. No, I think it's been a very different off season for him and the program. And I think that's a good thing at this point. And yet it was refreshing to hear where he's at and where the program's at and the takes that he had. I thought it was really well done at a perfect time for that.
AK, what do you got the rest of the week? What's keeping you busy?
Oh my God.
Nothing, right?
No. Yeah.
Lammed.
Hey, I'll tell you something. I'll give you a little sneak peek into something that we're building for College World Series. Lauren Michelson, God bless her. She went down to Kansas City yesterday with Tyler Wilson, one of her photographers, and talked to Jack Caglione, Pete Alonso, Ben McDonald. Where is all this going? College World Series. We're doing a bunch of College World Series preview stuff and to talk about their experiences then. And I'll tell you, as I told Lauren, I said, maybe your presence just sparked a turnaround for the Kansas City Royals, because did you see what happened after she talked to those fellas, they go off and with a walk-off win, snap that losing streak. So it's the Michelson effect. And and you know what, fellas? I got to promote this Monday. Noah Sacco, new employee, new sports guy, starting. I don't know when he's going to start on the air, but his first day is on Monday. Noah's a Millard North grad, former baseball player. He's coming back. Yeah, so he'll be in the rotation. He'll be in the Hurrdat rotation. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah,
so-
you know him, right? Yeah, you know him.
I mean, I don't know him, but anybody from Millard North got to be a good guy.
He's been on like a month bender.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. He's just. There's zero controlling this dude.
It's all right. Sometimes you just got to let them go.
Only
Sometimes
good
they just flame out.
Only good eggs come from 144th and Pacific. We know this for a fact.
Go.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the busy week.
Absolutely. Be good, boys. I'm going to drink up and make this glass half empty.
As long as it's not Kool-Aid.
That's
right.
That's Andy Kendeigh from KETV. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to talk some NFL draft with Justen, Gammel, Gam Scout on Twitter if you want to follow him, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty as the draft is less than 36 hours away, DB.
I don't know if did you see the countdown?
You excited?
Yeah.
I think we got 34 hours from Captain. That's the last number I saw. Oh, we're in the home stretch, baby.
Home stretch.
We'll talk a little NFL draft coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's the declaration of deals at Edwards Jeep and Ram Village Point in Council Bluffs. Lease the 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn 4x4. Returning lessees just $389 a month. Non-returning $449 a month. Zero down. Shift into spring with deals this good. Only at Edwards Jeep and Ram. Or lease the 2026 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport S 4x4. Zero down. Returning lessees just $319 a month. Non-returning $369 a month. Don't wait. Declaration of deals won't last. Get to Edwards Jeep and Ram at Village Point in Council Bluffs today.
The system that Coach Hoiberg likes to play is not really a true point guard, if you will, and you're a bigger guard.
Right.
It's 6'5", and really, did they say, hey, we can use you a number of different ways? It feels like, you can play multiple positions, if you will, but I'm guessing you'd be a primary ball handler in the system.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, we watched a little film throughout this recruiting process, and I've watched Nebraska. I love watching hoops, so definitely have watched them, especially this last year. I have played point guard like my whole life. I feel comfortable doing that, but I think ultimately I'm a basketball player. I feel comfortable. Like, I think my first year playing at UVU, at one game I had to go and play the 4, and I was guarding some dude way taller than me, and I feel comfortable doing everything that I think anyone can ask me to do. But also I think there is in this system too, you said, maybe not a true point guard. I think a true point guard that can just help everyone do what they need to do would be a huge benefit. But also that I don't think that limits me. I don't think that limits the guys that are on the court. So ultimately at the end of the day, I think we trust this great head coach and this great coaching staff and the great players that are already here to make it work. I'm just trying to find my way in and to help the team have a great year.
to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you, if you're watching, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Nebraska baseball, Nebraska softball, whatever it is, they got you covered over at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Great TV setup. They make sure they have all of the games as well, even if it's on something weird subscription service that you don't want to pay for. We got you covered. And terrific sports bar food.
You don't have to buy the Cock or Prime or whatever else it's on. What's the
Big Ten Plus?
I rock with Big Ten Plus.
I understand that, but if you're like, oh man, the budget's don't have room for another streaming service.
No, so I mean, quiet as kept. I made the mistake of paying for the year when I thought I was paying for the month. So I have about 4 months of BTN Plus left.
Hey, can I get your login?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Thank you. You text to me later.
It's fine.
Cornflicted. We were just moving right on past that. We were just moving right on past it.
What?
You got to stop shortening Peacock, man.
You guys say Prime and it's fine.
Yeah, it is.
I hate you guys.
Honestly, whichever way you say it is bad.
I wondered what he was laughing at.
Yeah, it was that.
He's a ding dong.
Come on, man.
But all I can really see is
shortening. Never mind. Go ahead.
Wow.
Ain't got to worry about that.
Unbelievable.
You doing okay?
It's fine.
Hey, can we play? We're waiting on Justen here. Can we play the trucks and trailers video? Because I do think that's relevant to what we're talking about with NFL draft here.
Trucks and trailers.
A head coach the other day, hearing it from his perspective made a lot of sense to me. He said there's so few. I use the phrase trucks and trailers, right? There's the very few quarterbacks who are the trucks that can pull the team. Most of the quarterbacks are the trailers getting pulled by the team. Like they're dependent on what the team's going to look like. And he said, so if we all acknowledge that there's only a handful of quarterbacks in this league that are situation proof and they can make anything work, he's like, then if the rest of these quarterbacks, whether like if you took those other quarterbacks and you ranked them from like 12, like from even like 8 to 30, say who's the best one? Well, the best one's going to be the one with the best team. So we're going to try and build up the entire team to make it quarterback proof, and then we're going to drop the quarterback in there so the quarterback has a chance to be successful. So I don't need as much talent at the quarterback position for him to excel, versus taking maybe a little more talented quarterback in the process. We don't have the machine built for him. He's got no chance. So that was kind of how he explained it.
So I think that's really interesting in a couple ways. Number one, really interesting with how we view the NFL draft, right? If you believe, and we've talked about this before, how I think there's only a handful of guys that were like situation proof, right?
Yeah.
Most quarterbacks are situation dependent, even the ones we consider some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But then he said something at the end there that I was like, I think we just experienced that with Nebraska football also. Talking about going for that little extra talented quarterback versus having the machine built around them and ready to go. Like I think the argument could be made, and I've given Dylan a hard time for various things, but I think the argument could be made that Nebraska, in the process of where they were at, just wasn't ready for that type of quarterback. They didn't have the infrastructure around him to help him be successful, especially considering what his skill set was.
Maybe.
Or as successful as he could have been.
Yeah, maybe the pass protection aspect of it.
That, and so there is, I think they needed him to be more than he was ready to be at that point in his career.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's you don't ask. Maybe it's you don't give them the whole kit and caboodle so early either.
Sure. There's a lot of factors there. I definitely agree with that. But I think it's really interesting if we can just accept that most quarterbacks, no matter how talented, right? Whether it's Dylan, whether it's Anthony Calandria, whether it's Dante Moore at Oregon, like pick a guy, whether it's Fernando Mendoza, who's going to go number 1 overall. If we just accept that most guys are situation dependent and that they are trailers, not trucks, I think it really changes how we not only view roster construction at the college level, but also view the NFL draft. Because we've had this conversation with free agency and paying quarterbacks and stuff like that. And I'm just like, hey, you don't have to pay those guys. And if they're not one of those guys, you probably shouldn't. Right? Like, how many of these guys that we've seen get paid and you go, okay, what does that get you? If you're Arizona and you paid Kyler Murray, he's a talented quarterback. Like, nobody can deny that. He's put up good stats, but is he a truck or is he a trailer? He's a trailer, right? Sam Darnold. Is that a guy that you look at and he's going to be a truck or he's going to be a trailer? Sam Darnold's a trailer, even though he's a good trailer. And maybe maybe the wheels are greased, so it doesn't take as much to pull him along. If we're going to continue with the metaphor, like, he might be a real good trailer, but not a truck. And most guys aren't. Like, maybe, I mean, I don't know. We're talking 3 or 4 guys in the league right now that I can put in that category of situation proof. Maybe.
So.
And I'm not even sure about one of them.
Okay.
So Josh Allen, I would say, is probably situation proof.
Okay.
Although I will say,
he's situation proof.
A lot at this point, yes. I think early in a lot of these guys' careers, they may not have been situation proof. That's the only caveat I'll put. I would put that same caveat on Patrick Mahomes, who I think is currently situation proof. I think Lamar Jackson, currently situation proof. I don't know that he was when he got drafted. I don't know about anybody else.
Really?
Who would you argue might be situation proof that I'm not including?
So is this results based or the type of quarterback you think they are?
I think it's results based.
Well, I think Herbert is in that discussion. You don't like it, but he is. Stafford is in that discussion.
Stafford's a good one. Stafford's a good one. Yes, Stafford.
Dak Prescott is in that situation. Run game, no run game, 1 receiver, 2 receivers. Dak Prescott has been really good.
Here is the other thing that I think we need to define here.
Yeah, you better give me some more quantifiers.
And I'm okay defining it either way, but we probably need to. Are we talking about leads the team to winning consistently or is able to produce?
I don't know. Dak wins a lot of games. So that would be weird for you to die on his hill. Dallas exceeds expectation. You know how bad they were defensively 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm certainly not putting the losing on him.
Like they were the worst in the league.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think Justin Herbert now has a pretty good situation, but if you want to put him in situation proof, I'm okay with that. So that gets us to 6.
Yeah.
Because you added Herbert, Stafford, and Dak.
So Ladd McConkey, we all this ranting and raving about number ones. Ladd was his number 1 last year as a rookie.
Yeah, I'm fine with including Herbert.
Okay.
I'm fine with including Herbert.
I didn't want to have to.
Because
we talk about clutch winning and losing and that, but I mean
I want to include Burrow because I like him, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and I think that's partly situational. I mean,
I don't hold that against Burrow.
Okay.
I think he's.
You want to put him in that category?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm fine with that. We got 7.
That might be about it.
How are we defining the trucks and the trailers again? Like, is it
a truck is a team that can pull a team to victory? A trailer is a team that is being pulled by the team along. So there's some guys that are, again, they're easier trailers to pull. Maybe they don't have as much weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would argue Trent Dilfer was a pretty heavy trailer.
Why? So,
okay.
Why do you say Dak is a total trailer?
Well, this is going to be my question is like, could you do this like everybody has like the same teams, or is it like on the teams that they're on? Like, who is able to lead? Like, you just take the worst team who's able to lead them to whatever and who's being carried by the team.
So I don't think you can make it uniform across because, again, you've got the teams around them, you've got scheme, you've got coaching, like you've got too many other variables to say, hey, if I put Joe Burrow on the Bills, then it would look like this. Or if I put Josh Allen on the Chargers, then it would look like this, right? Like there's too many other variables there that I don't think we can just say, well, if Justin Herbert played for the Eagles, he'd have at least 2 Super Bowls and Jalen Hurts only has the 1. Like that I don't think is reasonable. So I think we have to take it within the context of what they've been in their careers. And yes, that introduces some ambiguity that we can't answer, but that's just sort of the nature of the argument.
Ooh, He's so polarizing. I'm not going to die on the Dak hill, but I guess I just don't understand this.
I think he's hyper productive. I don't know.
I wish he would have like a good team.
Sure, that's totally fair.
So I could.
Then you would know.
Yeah,
but that's totally fair.
I mean, we're super hard on Dak for what he has to deal with. Let alone,
I also think Dallas is a uniquely hard situation. But
let alone Corn Raider as the only anti-Cowboy fan in my house. My sister was diehard. My dad used to scout for him. It was my brother's favorite team. Dallas gets a hard time. I get it because of the underachieving, but I think that Ross, like, to function in that culture on the day-to-day with Dak's consistency, grabbing the mic, representing that franchise,
not to mention dealing with your owner.
That's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, I mean,
never being real controversial. Like, he's a good leader.
Hey, by the way, our guest is running a little bit late. He'll be on at 9:30.
Okay, he's a good leader.
Yeah,
that's a dysfunctional organization.
Highly.
And he flourishes. I'm no apologist, and I get it. That's your team, but you guys are awful hard.
I think Dak
awful hard on Dak
is the one that we've mentioned so far that I am the most torn on, but I'm not going to die on the hill that he's not a truck. Like, that's not something I feel strongly.
It was just the term definitely was throwing me. I was like, wow, really?
Chuck, I would say Jordan Love's a trailer. And again,
is Jordan Love good?
Well, this is a question I've asked for some time now.
I don't know. He's a toughie.
I agree. And he's one of those guys.
It's a fascinating conversation on satellite I was listening to yesterday. It's one of the ESPN shows, and Jordan Love came up.
Yeah. Jordan Love's a tough one to get to wrap around.
All right.
To wrap your mind around.
Rico. Yeah. AJ. Can you guys both talk at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to count to 3. You ready? I want you to listen to what I say and then pick the quarterback that you would take. Okay. 1. Wait, no, I'll give you the 2 guys. Caleb Williams or Jordan Love. 1, 2, 3.
Caleb
Williams.
Huh.
Did everybody say Williams?
Everybody said Williams. Interesting. So we don't think very highly of Jordan Love.
Let's get Padilla on the phone.
No. Jacob might be mad at me from yesterday still.
I think Jordan Love is fine.
Is there an in-between? Can he be the hitch?
No, I mean, I think it's different sizes of trailers, right?
I don't know, man. He has these moments where he's carrying these guys.
Sure. That's like when you're going downhill and the trailer momentum kind of helps you a little bit. You know what I mean?
5% gradient.
Yeah, like it's helping you speed up a little bit. But sometimes you're going up the hill and it's like, Jordan, what are you doing back there, bud?
I think of Jordan Love like a U-Haul rental, right? Like sometimes he can carry you, but more often than not, he's just not there. So you're going to ask somebody else to help you out.
Huh.
That's a fair analogy. I think he is not a guy that, I mean, I said this at the time. He's not a guy I would have paid the money to that they did.
He's fascinating because if you and some people like to do this, if you just look at stats,
you think he's a lot better than he is.
He's really good.
Yeah.
But if you think of Love in the sense of just the offense instead of the team, I feel like Love gets more credit because that offense is not entirely like super talented comparative to a lot of other quarterbacks.
I agree. And I think he's got a really good coach. But it's interesting.
So that's a good example.
I get mad that people bang on Caleb Williams, but all 4 of us would take Caleb Williams over Jordan Love. And I'm not so sure if I had more time, I wouldn't take Love.
I don't think I would. Part of it is I feel like I know who Love is at this point. And I don't know that that's good enough to give up the upside that I think Caleb Williams still has. That's part of it for me. is I feel like I know what Jordan Love is.
I don't know. He's got a lot of ball left to play.
I don't think we know what Jordan Love is because he sat for the year
7 games.
I know, but he's like 5 years in.
He's only played in 57 games.
I get that. How many quarterbacks after 57 games turn into dramatically different people?
Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Trevor
We
Lawrence.
liked Baker Mayfield early. Now
we didn't.
In Cleveland, they did early before they threw him away. They liked him early.
I just gave you 3 quarterbacks off the top of my head.
Okay, in the grand scheme of all the quarterbacks, how many guys are largely different after 57, 60 games? Most of the time, by that point, you know who they are. There are outliers, yes. But most of the time...
I gave you 4 guys that were playing currently.
Okay. Do we want like 4 guys out of a league of 32?
You're probably more apt to maybe go the other way.
What, do you think you
could get off to a good start and then it hadn't been sustainable.
Right, but I mean, okay, like Mac Jones is a good example, right? By 57 games, he had the good start, but by 57 games, we knew who he was. It's not that you can't be good in there at some point. It's that you kind of have an idea of who a guy is by, 60 games is 4 full years, basically.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of circling the wagons. What are you saying definitively? That people can't change or they can?
I'm saying that most of the time, obviously there are outliers, but most of the time, by the time you've started 60 NFL games at quarterback, we know who you are.
What about your quarterback?
Who? Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
I feel like I know who Brock Purdy is.
He's
not, and he's probably still not even at 60.
I got a question, though.
Is Brock Purdy a truck or a trailer?
And you better be honest, because now you like Brock. Now you don't mind having spent the money on Purdy.
I still don't like spending the money on him.
But he's pretty good.
He is really good. But
you've come around. You like him more now today than you did a year ago.
Yes, because they were bad last year and he was better than I thought he could be. Like that, the rest of the team around him was, but he's still only at 46 starts, I think.
He's pretty good.
He's at 45 starts. No, he is really good. I think he's a very good trailer. I don't think he's a truck. I think he's a very good trailer. You know, because I bet we're still under 60.
Wasn't Stroud 20 in that 21 class?
22, I thought, but I could be wrong. He's only at, what do we got? Yeah, he's at 46 still. So we still got about another season full of starts before he gets to my benchmark. But he's trending in the wrong direction, for sure. Like he's trending in a Mac Jonesian direction. I don't know how else to put it. Like
Mac Jonesian?
Yeah.
Mac Jonesian.
And who knows, like, maybe we have to disqualify people that spent some time with Kyle Shanahan because he turns them into different people. Sam Darnold falls in that category. Maybe Mac Jones will too. I don't know. But like there is I would bet you more often than not, after 60 games as a starting quarterback, you know who that guy's going to be most of the rest of his career.
Yeah.
You have like that being said, because quarterbacks aren't situation proof, I would take chances on guys that were in disastrous situations. Anywhere with the Jets, any quarterback with the Jets, I'm giving a second look to, right? I don't care. Like if the Jets drafted a guy high, I'm giving him a second look because most other teams would have had that guy high too. And there is just absolutely nothing that apparently can fix the Jets from a quarterback situation. So there are guys like that. And those are guys worth taking flyers on, but you don't have to pay those guys. Those are basically like league minimum contracts on a lot of those guys.
Yeah, but to your point, they're just some franchises that you think can't overcome the quarterback.
I think the quarterback can't overcome some franchises. Like no quarterback is overcoming the Jets. At least hasn't in 60 years.
Mark Sanchez had a good run.
I mean, you had a little Testaverde run there for a second. It was good when they were making AFC championship games.
So who else is in, and I thought he would come back to the pack but then he got hurt. So I'm not going to say I was right.
Okay.
But we've disagreed on Jaden Daniels before. Where are you on Daniels?
Ooh, really talented. Don't know if it's sustainable. I worry more about his health than I do anything.
You didn't love who he was playing around.
No, I didn't. I think I don't know that we know enough yet because we're just like a year and a half in, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
and he has, what does he have? 20 starts, maybe? 22 starts?
Yeah, probably. He's at 24 starts. Yeah.
Okay.
So still very, very early on Daniels. I think if he can stay healthy, then I'm pretty interested in what he brings to the table.
I'll give you a guy that's drastically different than what we thought. When I said there's sometimes we see quarterbacks go the other way.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson.
100%. 100%. I'm interested. I'm going to look when the fall off started because he is still.
I mean, Deshaun Watson was getting ready to be that dude.
Here's the you know what he was. You know the funny thing about that? He only got to 53 starts in Houston. Now, he was really good through the 53 starts. Mm-hmm. So he's much closer to what you're talking about going the other way. Mm-hmm. And he has been an absolute trash bag since then.
That's a guy you would tell me you just don't like.
100%. Just don't like him. Also, he's been very bad at the last.
I think just the opposite, corn-inflicted. I think Goff is. He's not.
Goff is
he's a trailer.
Very good trailer in the right when pulled by the right truck.
I think he's
definitely a trailer. That's the reason you traded Goff for Stafford, right? Because Stafford's a truck and Goff is a trailer.
Yeah.
Like that's good trailer. Trailer is not derogatory necessarily. Some trailers are going to hold you back. Some trailers bring the stuff you need with them to get where you're going.
You want another guy to the opposite?
Who?
Your boy. How you feel about Trevor Lawrence, who's been better late than he was early?
Ooh, that's a good one. Although Jaguars, I think, fall in the Jets conversation for the most part, too.
Oh, no, Burnell was pretty good. I disagree.
That was 30 years ago.
We're talking about franchising and stuff.
Okay. He's who? So what was
it, 95?
96 is, I think, when they made their run. Yeah.
No, since the franchise.
They've had a couple good quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean,
you big David Gerard guy? Or are you more of a Byron Leftwich?
Both big black guys.
Not runners, though.
Neither. Yeah. Correct. Good distinction.
I blame Byron Leftwich's leg and that Marshall thing that he did.
You're wild.
Let's take a quick break. We'll get to Justen Gammel, talk a little NFL draft here. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's time to shift into spring at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2026 Kia Seltos LX as low as $198 a month. Shift into spring for less. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Drive away with more this April. Or lease the 2026 Kia Sportage LX as low as $228 a month. Don't wait. Shift into a fresh deal this spring at Edwards Kia. It pays to make the drive to Edwards Kia.
It's going to be insane. I would say just to see an entire stadium filled with red is going to be an experience that I haven't experienced yet, but one that I know is just, once in a lifetime. So super excited to do it with these girls, and hopefully we can come out a little bit stronger than we did this time around, but in front of a little bit like a bigger crowd. But I'm super excited for that match, and honestly to see what all of our preseason games are, because I know that Creighton always has a tough preseason schedule, which is also why I chose here.
It's time to shift into spring at Edwards Chevrolet. Lease the 2026 Chevy Trax LT for just $319 a month, $0 down with your first payment due at signing, or save $2,500 off MSRP. Spring on these deals before they're gone. Drive away with more this April. Or lease the 2026 Chevy Silverado RST for just $579 a month, $0 down with your first payment due at signing, or save $9,000 off MSRP. Get to Edwards Chevrolet today. Together, let's drive. It's time to
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Justen Gammel to talk a little NFL draft. You can find his work at Gam Scout on Twitter. Justen, how are we doing this morning?
I'm a little under the weather. I stayed up too late watching the Avalanche here win in overtime. Kept me up till like midnight, dude.
I was joking with our producer. He's a huge Mavs fan, but he's notoriously an early. I mean, he's like 70. So, kidding, Shane. He goes to bed at like 9, and I said, Shane, it was halfway through the second. We weren't even to the second intermission yet, and it was 12:41 Central Standard Time. I was like, yeah, he's not going to make it.
Yeah, this is a rough one.
So you nail this one with some of the evals and accuracy in terms of production. When you look back at this draft, I think you'll be a closet genius. Whomever does this. This is a draft, it seems, of contingencies and what ifs and a few best case scenarios. What is it that has been so difficult for you and a lot of the experts to kind of cap this draft with such varying opinions?
I think there's no, I don't want to say blue chip players, but this year there's really no true stars at any of like the skill positions. Like I think, our best two players on a lot of people's boards are Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Love. That's a running back and a safety. Like those are the two positions we joke about, like, you don't need those. Not till later in the draft. And this year, it's like those are probably the two best players. And then after that, it's just a mix of like 50 guys that could all have, grades that are so close together that the mock drafts are hilarious because you'll see any different number of combinations for any different teams. And into the 20s, you're getting, 30 different guys. So I think none of us can just figure out where teams stand with a lot of these guys is the problem.
As you're looking at this draft, and let's take away positional value, which I have to ask some questions on later, but we'll start with taking away positional value. And you mentioned Jeremiah Love and Caleb Downs. How is the high end of the draft for guys just in terms of, I think of like a Sonny Styles, super productive, off-ball linebacker, so not a positional value, quote unquote, place, and but also puts up crazy testing numbers as well. That's a guy that, if you have that level of production and testing at a different position, is in the conversation for being a much higher draft pick. Like, is it just one of those where it's like, hey, we're not going to be in love with anybody that goes in the first 15 picks, but second half of the first round through day 2, people just might find Pro Bowlers all over the place?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got a ton of guys in there that are arguably just as good as the guys that are going to go in the top 15. And again, that's the hard part about this class is like, good teams, like the back half of the first round this year loves it because they're not missing out on Jamar Chase. They're not missing out on, whatever, like Von Miller, the guys who typically go top 10. The good teams that have those late picks in this draft are having a blast because they're going to get a player just as good at 26 as, we might see as the 5th overall pick. And so, I mean, it's just a mess. Like I said, it's like a mess of like 50 guys on my board that are like so close together grade wise, where you could see their results being so close together that I don't know. It's just tough to kind of mock players to any team, but it's also tough to kind of separate groups. Like when I'm going through my position groups, I'm having a really tough time separating, the tiers or the grades of guys that should be a full day apart, or, a full day and a half apart normally. But this class, I'm like, I don't know. I think we might see some wild stuff like the back, the last like 7-8 picks of round 1 as well.
All right. I want to start with kind of that premise of the separation. Who's 2 through 5 at the quarterback spot?
That's impossible right now. I feel like you probably have Ty Simpson. You probably have Garrett Nussmeier. Oh man, yeah. You could. I feel like some teams might even throw Talon Green, the Arkansas kid, in there after what he did at the combine. Also, just look at him.
I mean, did you just sit down with Gruden? I didn't. I liked his personality. I don't know if I was like enamored with much else.
I mean, he's a good kid. It's just the combine workout you can't ignore, and then the tape's raw, sure, but it just feels like in this class, it's like, why not take him? Other than that, you got maybe Carson Beck from Miami. I don't know, Alar from Penn State, but he,
where are you on Cole Payton?
I mean, that's a day 3 guy that you really just take based on the size and the athleticism. But the tape at North Dakota State is just it's just elementary football in a way. And I don't mean that in a bad, I don't mean that to be a slight, but what they do there is very simple. It's wide open. They're better than pretty much every team they play. So you didn't really get to see him do a lot of pure quarterbacking. So when he comes to the NFL, it's going to be a big learning curve for him.
When you're looking at players that other people like a lot, whether it's other scouts, other mock draft people, other internet personalities, who are some guys that you're just like, I don't see it, I'm not buying it?
I mean, it might be the second pick in the draft this year, but it's David Bailey. And I just never found myself coming around to what he does. He looks good. I like the aesthetic. He looks old school. He's got no knee pads. He's got long arms. He looks cool for an edge rusher. He looks like a throwback, but there's not a lot of ankle flexion in that kid. There's not a lot of bend. He kind of just bases his game off sprinting off the line of scrimmage, getting to a spot and hoping he can beat the tackle. I don't think, there's not a lot of power in his game. He's not great against the run, and he probably won't be. So I just think, you're taking a guy top 5. He's got to be able to play every snap, and he's got to be able to be at least above average in every phase. And I don't think that's David Bailey for me. And I also don't think his fastball, which is, pass rush, I don't think that's necessarily better than a lot of other guys in this class. So the guy could end up being so wrong on, but for now, I could not figure out what everyone was seeing with Bailey.
Yeah, sorry, Justin. Just sticking along with the not boom or bust, but the tough to evaluate. And they both have their fair share of skeptics. Safer pick between the two, Bain or Reese?
Man, I want to say Reese because I have him higher, but I understand how a team could mess that up. So I do think it's probably Bain. When I look at Bain, I just see a guy that's consistent, steady. I cannot imagine Bain not being a good player. I don't think his ceiling is that high, and that's why I've disliked, the top 5 talk and all that, because I just don't think he's going to come in and beat offensive tackles consistently. There's just no way for him to do that. I can't figure that out. But I do think you can move him around. He's strong. He has a high motor. He is just a great football player. So the floor's high, and he's just going to be impactful. But I'm not sure I see a guy that you're expecting 10 plus sacks out of every year, because I just don't know if he has the tools to do that necessarily. But I do think he's safe in the sense of like, all right, he's always going to be good. He's going to be like George Karlaftis on the Chiefs, but probably a little better, like probably a step up from that.
Where do people screw up Reese? Where would somebody screw up Reese?
I think they might make the mistake that like the Cardinals made with Zaven Collins, with Isaiah Simmons, where it's like he's so good at everything that you ask a young rookie to do everything. And now he's like, I suck at everything now because, guys, I need to focus on one thing. And I think Reese is so talented that you could get a team that's like, all right, we're going to make you do, every different personnel package, you're going to do something different. You're going to cover, you're going to blitz, you're going to, have to learn how to play stack backer. And it's like these young kids are already trying to figure out the NFL. And the game speed is already too much for them a lot of times. Just let them do one thing. And he's such a good athlete that I think you either stick him at edge or you stick him off ball and you say, that's it. Maybe if he's an off ball guy, you can blitz him here and there, but you need to make sure he's learning one position. That way he gains that confidence of, I'm learning one position. I'm good at this, versus just so many of these hybrids get moved around for so long that they're, it's like drinking water through a fire hose.
Let's stay in that neighborhood. Brought up Ruben Bain a minute ago. Let's talk about whether you'd have him or his teammate, Mesidor.
Well, Bain, you got to take because, the age and the lack of injury history, I guess. Mesidor has some serious injury history. And he's also turning 25. Not that that's a bad thing. I don't think the age is a bad thing. Like, oh, good, you get a guy on this rookie contract that's already mature and good at football. That's not a problem. But I think the injury history is a little troublesome. So I think just based on what I saw on the field last year, it was pretty clear Mesidor is probably the better pass rusher. Like, he was Miami's fastball, and teams started really adjusting for him more than anybody on that team or on that D-line, because he was just such a savvy dude with, like, I don't know if he's an elite athlete, but he's a darn good athlete. And he had so many different ways to beat tackles, with the speed, with the power, with the, the inside moves, the combinations that he could do with his hands. He just had a lot in his repertoire. So I think Mesidor on just on the field is probably the better player. And I think you're going to get like a Trey Hendrickson out of him when he comes to the NFL, where it's like, all right, it's not always the prettiest thing, but man, he is just so hard for teams to deal with, where Bain is probably a little more Brandon Graham, where he's not going to rack up the sacks, but he's just a solid player, just a really good player, no matter where you put him.
Man, Brandon Graham, listen, if that's the production,
right,
man,
you'll take that.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Especially in this class, like, all right, just give me the safe guy who's going to be a BG for a while.
He's one of the more underappreciated D linemen of his era. Yes.
Yeah.
He's pretty versatile. Justen, let me ask you. I want to get to these wide receivers a little bit, because we like some, we don't love any. We've talked ourselves into it's Carnell Tate and everybody else. Let me start with on the back end of the made that word up. Thought of, guys.
I don't think that's a word, man.
Let's go with Denzel Boston. Where are you on Boston?
I've gone all over the place with Boston. Boston's cool because he's a sturdy dude. He's got strong hands. He's a bully, but there's just not a lot of juice on tape. I keep seeing people call him Keon Coleman, who plays on Buffalo now, and I don't think that's fair, because Boston's a great player. He's just one of those guys where I can't imagine you see him winning on the boundary too much, but I think he could be a big slot or kind of a guy you move around and get touches over the field, because he's grounded through the catch. He can run through it. He can, run through contact. So I think he's more of a guy that he's gotten miscast because he's so big that everyone's like, this is a boundary receiver. And then they watch the tape and say, well, he's not fast and he doesn't separate. I do think there's a lot of potential for him in the slot, and he could be kind of a monster in there, because he's catches everything and he's physical as heck. So he's going to be really tough to handle there.
Yeah, insert Puka Nacua. Like I get so tired of because the way the NFL is played, Justin, I've said this for probably a month. It drives me up the wall. We get so fixated with these number ones, and if he's this guy. Listen, there is no Jamar Chase. There's not that boundary X, but you don't need there to be with so many condensed sets and motions. You can move guys and target them as you want to, because that's what OCs do now.
Right. And you need guys that are consistent and reliable over the middle of the field. That is where it's the toughest to make catches. That's where it's tough for quarterbacks to trust their guys, and where timing is key and it's everything. And Denzel Boston can catch anything. And he's, not elite dangerous after the catch, but he can catch the ball, turn upfield immediately. He's one of those guys where it's not like catching is not hard for him. He catches everything. And he can run through the catch, and he can be consistent. And I just think like there's way too much value in that, we see like Rashee Rice, we see Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, all these guys that have made a living off being monsters over the middle of the field. He feels like the guy that could be that. You kind of just got to put him in that role and move him around, and I think you'll see a great player.
I'm going to stay with a couple of more receivers. I listened to him on the Rich Eisen show after Mendoza the other day, and I was like, yeah, I can't be falling in love with interviews or Cameron guys because interviews. I didn't like much of what he had to say, but where are you at on KC Concepcion? You're talking about catching the ball. That's a little bit of a thing for him, but he is versatile.
Yeah, he is versatile, and he is explosive, and he does create separation. He's not a big guy, obviously, and I do think he's quicker than fast. So I've seen him call, the vertical threat, and I don't think that's fair because I don't think he's that guy that really has that deep speed. But if you run an offense where, like you said, you have a lot of condensed sets, you're getting your guys free releases, or you're running a lot of ISO stuff like, we used to see the Packers do with Rodgers, where he'd love to get his guys isolated and see if he can get them one-on-one in space. Concepcion's that guy where you don't want him running over the middle of the field and having to catch and run through contact because I don't think that's going to go that well. But he can separate with the best of them, and he just understands the natural ability of like how to create space for himself and how to manipulate defenders. He's probably a guy I would take in the top 25. I don't think he's going to go too early, but there is a lot to like with him. It's just he's another like buyer beware where, dude, don't miscast him. Don't think he's something he's not, or else you're not going to get the guy that's going to be productive for you.
Last receiver for me was Ravi's being gracious. Zachariah Branch.
Oof. He's fun to watch, that's for sure.
I mean, hello the second now. Like he gets kind of the steal tag a little bit, but as I was going through one of my buddies in the group chat, you can't not or overlook the lack of receiving college production.
Exactly.
But I will say this: he won the Jet Awards for us a couple years ago, and this was his first spring. And Lincoln Riley did not. He's one of the few award winners we had up here that he did not get to be in attendance. And his coach said he wasn't mature enough to balance the workload yet. So maybe that should have given me a glimpse into it. But he was also a kid, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, I mean, he was also barely turning 18 or whatever. So where's Olamide Zaccheaus, the NFL player? He played on like Atlanta. I don't know where he's at right now, but that's who I think like Zachariah Branch's best case scenario is if he turns into a real receiver where he's a little gadgety still. He always will be just based off the size, the arm length. He's a little guy. But I think if you get him in space and you kind of isolate him, get him some of those gadget carries, you're going to get a productive player. I can't imagine Branch is ever, really part of a top trio of any NFL team making consistent receiver plays. But I do think, obviously the explosiveness and like the ability with the ball in his hands is just too hard to overlook. So I would imagine day 3 is where we'll see Branch go. But just because this receiver class is deep, it's not top heavy, it's not crazy at the top, there's no chase or whatever, but it is a good class. Like there's a lot of talent and a lot of different flavors in this class.
That's kind of how I feel about the O-line.
Before we get to O-line, I told you I was going to talk about positional value here for a second. So I want to ask you a question, and it's coming right after wide receiver talk for a reason. When we talk about positional value, at least when you're talking about positional value or when you're talking to people in the league about positional value, are we talking about cost control compared to what it would take to buy that person or sign that person, basically buy their services on the open market as a free agent? Or are we talking about their direct impact on winning?
Oh man, you're going to make me activate my brain like that this early? Okay.
Because depending on your answer, the how we view positions becomes very, very different.
Yeah, well, it's tough because like for instance, like O-line don't hit the free agent market. Like O-line, good O-line do not go on the free agent market, where we see a lot of the other positions do. I'm trying to think how to answer this question without getting roasted. I personally, for me, I'll just do my dumb answer. I don't believe in drafting linebackers early because.
Off-ball?
Go ahead.
Off-ball?
Yeah, off-ball. Yeah, off-ball. I don't believe in drafting off-ball linebackers early, for instance, because I ask myself, all right, I look at Sonny Styles in this class. Everyone says he's a special player. And I don't disagree. There's a special athlete there and there's special potential. But let's just say he goes top 5. How is a off-ball linebacker going to change a bad team? What is he going to look like on a bad defense? They're probably going to be terrible still.
Okay,
That's exactly how I feel about
so
it.
so that would be the impact on winning answer. Fair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So answer me this. Why are we cool taking wide receivers in the top 5?
I think if they are Jamar Chase or if they are Malik Neighbors, it makes sense, especially because when you have a quarterback, even especially a young quarterback, that you want him to grow with, it's a little more, you're probably not going to win more games because of it, but it's kind of like a bigger step towards moving towards success in the future. It's a better thing to have your guy grow with someone and be dynamic and have defenses worry at night, at least, versus a linebacker where, defense is still bad. Like, they're bad still, and he's good, but you'll never know because linebacker is a pretty dependent position.
Who's
and
contract would you guys rather do?
Well, so that's why I asked the difference between money.
I think you'd rather
versus,
do the defensive guy's second contract.
Well, that's why I asked the question for money versus the impact on winning, because I feel like I could make the argument that running backs have a larger impact on winning, even when you're trying to pair them with a young quarterback, because a good running game makes a young quarterback's life easier. But if you're talking about second contracts, wide receivers blow everybody out of the water outside of quarterbacks, basically, where running backs, linebackers, safeties all are making a much more modest amount of money. So, like, could I make that argument to you that from a impact on winning standpoint, running backs should be in the same conversation as receivers?
To me, no, because I think the O-line matters more than anything. Like, I think the O-line matter. You could have a middling running back or a below average running back and a great O-line, and you'll be better off than having an elite running back and a bad O-line. So I think O-line is where it all starts, and that's how you can get a running back to look good or bad. And then from there, you kind of move on. But I think receiver, like last year, we saw Malik Neighbors made the Giants just hell to deal with. And then he had Jackson Dart, who's running around and making plays. And it was like that team became exciting and they came tough to play. But I don't think a good running back on a bad team is any good. Like, that's just not how it works. It's the same with linebacker. It's just, it matters what's around you more so than you.
How are you feeling about the safety spot? I think Byard screwed up the market a handful of years ago. It tried to reset a little. Now you're getting some hybrid guys that are out of box guys. How do you value worth, because they're two separate things, the safety position?
Well, the NFL's doing some funny stuff these days with safeties. It's like everybody's a nickel, everybody's a hybrid. Every team is starting to try and play nickel as much as possible, which makes safeties a lot more valuable than they used to be. So safeties kind of jumped up in like positional value. We used to kind of just write it off till later, but now it's a big thing, and there's a lot of good safeties in this class. This is one of the most fun classes I've ever studied. And we had a guy like Traden Stukes from Arizona, who I think he was like a day 3 guy a month ago, and now we're talking about him possibly bumping into the end of the first round, which I understand. He's an awesome player, but all of a sudden every team is trying to figure out how they can play nickel as much as possible. So all these safeties are getting looked at like they're not safeties anymore. Like they're corners, or like they're, whatever position is next on the list of more importance. That's how it's looking. And there's good ones in this class, so it's great.
Are you all in on Caleb Downs, given where he's going to be drafted?
I'm not all in on Downs. Great player. For me, I'd prefer a little freakier of an athlete and a bigger athlete if I'm going to take him top 5, top 10. And I'd prefer a guy that naturally gets his hands on more balls. And I don't mean Downs is a bad player in any sense. I just, usually when you talk about a safety going that high, it's like a Nick Manwari type of player, or like a Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, even Minka Fitzpatrick. But Downs is more of like, to me, he's more of the guy next to the playmaker, where he keeps everything in check. He makes no mistakes, and you're not going to mess. A quarterback's not going to get him to mess up. He's like the Ryan Clark next to the Polamalu. He's not the Polamalu.
Are you okay with McNeil Warren, or is the lack of, I'm not going to say lack of athleticism, but like he's kind of played a similar scheme. It seems like Tiedemann has jumped him, and the second safety when McNeil Warren seemed pretty safe there. What's the difference between Dylan and Emmanuel in your opinion?
Well, Dylan jumped up because I think everybody went back and saw when Thieneman played at Purdue, and he was playing in the post, and he got like 7 interceptions as a freshman. And you kind of put that together with his 2 years at Oregon and see, oh, wow, like we have a huge physical dude who runs in the 4.3s and also can be a true free safety and possibly, transform a scheme where Emmanuel McNeil Warren is probably going to end up being more of a true strong safety and kind of plays closer to the line of scrimmage, which is, very valuable in today's NFL, like we were just talking about. But I think coming from Toledo, and the tape is a little raw, he kind of takes chances and kind of freelances a lot and just kind of plays to the beat of his own drum when he's on the field. Like you just see a player that's a little young still, and he's hard to pin down as like, oh, what scheme would he work in? What does he do? So with that, plus the learning curve of Toledo, I think he kind of got bumped by Thieneman, who had 3 good years at big schools, and now kind of you know that he's going to be a good free safety. You can put him in the post and he's going to shut it down.
Justen, last one for me here. Who's your favorite player that's going to get drafted too low?
I think it's a safety, actually. I think I would probably say Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina. This guy was a freshman All-American. He covered for Nicky Manwuri when he went out hurt, and then he last year had to play nickel, which makes no sense, but he was just doing it to be, a good teammate and get the best 11 on the field. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Jalen Kilgore, if he is not playing nickel, if you just have him as safety, just a true safety, one of your top 2 safeties on your team, this is an elite athlete with elite size, tested elite at the combine. The tape is great. I feel like he's going to go, maybe even fall to round 3, but I do think this is a guy that's going to be a Pro Bowl type safety when he comes to the league.
I think this guy is the best corner in the draft. I was hoping you were going to say Mansour Delane out of LSU, because
that's easy.
How high do you think he goes? Should he be the first corner off the board, or you like McCoy or Terrell or somebody better?
Well, we're finding out McCoy has some like bigger injury issues than we thought.
Yeah,
now, there's talks that he's sliding to round 2.
I mean, again, when you haven't played in a year, there's already going to be those concerns.
Exactly. I think Delane is probably going to be the first corner off the board. The size isn't great, though. That's the big thing. Is like the size is not great. He's a small dude, so some teams are gonna.
But he's physical, and he's 6 foot. He's slight, but he's 6 foot.
Right, but slight is tough when you're a corner. We see a lot of those corners get banged up and get those shoulder injuries. I love him. I think he's a great player. I do just think the arm length and this, the undersized a little bit is going to sway some teams to either take another position or possibly look at some of the other corners, but he should go high.
He makes playing look really, really easy.
Yeah, he does.
His tape is sensational.
It is. Yeah, he is such a mirror match guy. He's one of those guys where he'll never touch you, but he's never, you look, you're downfield, you look, you're like, why are you still here? He is that guy that you just cannot shake. But yeah, I think it was great that he went and ran like 4.38 at his pro day. That was amazing, because I think some people had some speed concerns just because he kind of stays low to the ground and he doesn't open his gate a lot. But he answered a lot of those testing questions, so that was great.
That is Justen Gammel. Justen, where can they find your work?
Hit me up on Twitter or X or whatever we call it these days, at Gam Scout. I'm not doing a whole lot of official on paper stuff right now, but we'll see. That could change. But for now, I hang out on X sometimes. So
there we go. That's our guy.
Like it. Easy
Justen
breezy.
Gammel, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, JG.
You guys, thank you.
That is Justen Gammel. Find him at Gam Scout on Twitter. All right, I gotta ask about our heads today. We got one Phil Snow.
Yes.
And then is that my guy Roger Craig?
Roger Craig.
Why today? Why those guys today?
Coach Snow, because he was talked about yesterday and kind of in passing by Coach Rhule, even though some people on the heels of the whole defensive coordinator thing, we thought that he was stepping on the toes of Tony White, which was one of the worst narratives ever. So we welcome Coach Snow back into the fray. And then Roger, I just felt like I wasn't having a great morning. And so I'm like, you know what? I need a little Chicago inspiration. What's that guy's name? You bring meaning to my
Is
life.
it Peter Cetera?
Peter Cetera, yeah.
You're the inspiration.
That's my man, RC.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. There's always a method to that.
And then you saw me and you're like, man, that's a great day.
I was like walking down the hall and I was like, ooh, Timmy Crabapple.
It's a great day.
He's going to be going ham today.
I checked on you when I got out of my car. Granted, you already had your window down, but I was going to check on you to make sure everything was okay.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, I just was circling the lot.
Well, yeah, you were trying to figure out if you could jump out.
Rico admitted it. He goes, yeah, that's slow.
It was slow.
Let's go outside. Let's see what happens.
Okay, we'll go to the parking lot.
Too many
That
cars
way.
now.
That's the back.
No, we got some. We'll got some empty space. We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
there's an empty parking lot back here. We can do it.
Hop out of the car.
No, I want to see you just run next to a car. I don't want you. I'm not trying to kill you. Like
I can't today.
All right. Well, let's see Rico.
Yeah, he's injured. We gotta wait till what? 3 months from now? I don't know how that old body heals.
Wow.
Faster if you call next gen. Get that BPC 157.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to see them.
You got to tell them. Be like, hey, I got a quad issue. I got some ball games I got to play.
And I dropped the 157. I told
you got to get it back.
I haven't taken it in 10 days.
That's why your quad's all messed up.
Probably.
Come on, man.
I'm going to blame the
We'll have Rico do
the
it.
Oaktown 157, as I like to call
You
it.
keep saying you're gonna hook me up, and nothing.
No, I'm not hooking you up with anything. I'm not going to have you run next to the car.
Oh, I can do that too. You're not, or you are?
No, definitely not.
I could just let me stretch.
Oh, you can stretch. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let me stretch. Let me get a quick little 2-minute warm up. I'm good.
Yeah, you can warm up however you want, man. I'll stay in electric mode. I'll go 20 the whole way.
Bet. Let's do it.
Let's do it. It'll sing at you. You know how the hybrid cards is like when you're in electric mode?
Yeah. You're going slow.
At least you got him to. You see, I told you we needed him yesterday too.
I was in a great mood yesterday. Got to talk to Coach Rhule for an hour.
I got not in a great mood yesterday.
I got the
and was crabby this morning too because of the mood yesterday.
I got the dinner invite. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, where are you guys going?
I got the spot, and it's actually kind of in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, just send me that information whenever we're ready.
Can I play a clip from yesterday?
Yeah. Hey, can I make the reservations or what, man? Like, what's going on? I got a spot.
What spot are we going to?
I'm not going to tell you. Just say yay or nay.
Is Ravi coming?
No.
Let's go. That's all we need to know. You all right?
You were so mad.
You were furious.
Hey, is Ravi coming?
You're like, hey, that's my friend.
No, it's the same as on the heels of the poker game. They did the same thing to me.
See you Friday, bud.
Like in small
It is right on the dot that we got to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Hey, can I make the reservations or what, man? Like, what's going on? I got a spot.
What spot are we going to?
I'm not going to tell you. Just say yay or nay.
Is Ravi coming?
No.
Let's go. Is that an invite?
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met Ravi. Robbie, have we ever met?
We met at Big Ten Media Days in passing, but
That's what I'm talking about. When I say meeting, I'm sorry. I mean like outside of actual
no,
work.
we have not met outside of football.
So why does Damon want to bring you?
Okay, it's fine. He can come.
See, you said I could come. We're good. Let's go.
Stupid.
Let's go. I'm excited. I'll see you at poker on Friday too.
Can't just have my own space.
Ravi infiltrating Damon's friend group was not on my 2026 bingo card.
And here's the funny thing. Like, the more they're around him, the coolness is going to wear off.
I don't know. You keep coming back.
I'm homeless.
Rico keeps coming back. Everybody just keeps coming back.
Tough out here.
All right. That's the show.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Exactly.
That's the show for today. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be back tomorrow with more Hurrdat Sports Live. And tomorrow, it's draft day. Let's go.
Can't wait.
I'll be in a great mood again.
Just, I got to get past my pick and I'll be fine.
As long as you don't get Ty Simpson at 21.
Or Caden Proctor.
Let's just everybody root. I think Proctor's going to be gone. I think you're going to be okay there. Everybody root for DB to get Caden Proctor and Ty Simpson at number 21. Wouldn't it be crazy if somehow they ended up with both of those guys? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Again, hey, come to the party and dinner too. Such a good guy.
Let's, what did I say to Andy? Miller North, only good eggs.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.